Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first, there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
Today, we'll have Elizabeth's back-to-back cruises on the new Destiny ship. That's coming up on this episode 491 of WW Prep to Go. Hello and welcome to WW Prep to Go, where we talk strategy and ideas for people planning their Disney World trips, and we have lots and lots of trip reports, including today. I am your host, Shannon Albert from WDWPrepSchool.com. Thank you for being here for episode 491. Today is a fun one because Elizabeth was able to be on the first two cruises on the Destiny that were with paying customers. And first of all, back-to-backs always fascinate me, the logistics of that, but also the fact that it's on a brand new ship. And so you'll hear our conversations here in just a minute. As always, a reminder to follow on social media. And I wanted to mention that upcoming podcast episodes are going to be available in video form on YouTube. And if I can figure it out, also on Spotify, but definitely on YouTube. If you listen through YouTube Music, you'll have a choice between audio and video. The actual podcast will not change on all the platforms. If you're an audio only person, I totally understand. I know a lot of people like to pop these long trip reports in their car on road trips or while they're cleaning or whatever other tasks you have and just listen to them. Totally fine. It's going to stay the same. But we're also adding a video component. There have been Zoom videos available to patrons, and patrons will continue to get videos early and ad-free for these episodes, but I am upgrading the video quality from Zoom to another platform that is more suitable for video and just offering a video version on YouTube. That's coming up. It's not available for this because we had to make sure that when we book the guests, we let them know that they would be on YouTube and not just audio. And so in the coming weeks, look forward to that option being available. But if you're audio only, this will still be here. So I think that's it for now. Let's jump into my conversations with Elizabeth about her cruises. Welcome to podcast, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
We're talking on Friday, November 14th, and I understand you're heading out on a cruise soon.
Yes, we are. We leave next Tuesday,
What's that date? November?
November 18th.
And then how long is that cruise?
So we're going to go down a couple of days before, with all the airplane, flight delays and so our cruise actually leaves on Thursday, November 20th. And we are doing a back-to-back cruise, so we'll be back on Friday, November 28th.
Okay, so November 20th to the 28th is two different cruises that you're
It is.
doing back to back. Okay. Okay, lots to talk about then. Let's first of all, who's going on this trip?
So, although we're a family of 6, we have 3 older kids that are college and workforce age. So, the 3 older kids are staying home. So, it is myself, my husband Andrew, and our 8-year-old Jackson.
Okay. And I'm going to assume this is not anybody's first cruise.
No.
Are you frequent cruisers?
We're ridiculous. I'll be really honest. When we go big, like when we do something, we go big. We decided to we have had annual passes to Walt Disney World for years and decided to let those expire last year because we had a cruise on the Treasure over spring break, and then we had this cruise coming up that's next week. And said, okay, that's the Disney. Next week will be cruise number 4 and 5 this year from Disney
This
alone.
year?
This year, we're ridiculous.
So do you do the back-to-backs?
No, this is a fun, like, first time cruise. So we are, if you haven't picked it up yet, we are cruising on the maiden voyage of the Disney Destiny.
Mhm.
And so this is gonna be our first maiden voyage and our first, back-to-back.
Okay. I mean, that's one way to get status quickly with Disney,
Well,
isn't
I'll
it?
go from gold to platinum. So, between the 2 cruises, so I'm excited.
Yes. You and I are about to both hit it because I'll be hitting it in a couple of weeks myself.
That's
But I've never
awesome.
done back to back. So
I haven't
that's
either.
one
We're really excited to be able to experience this.
that's one interesting way to do it. Okay. So does that mean that on November 18th, the couple days before you board, well, what are you doing? What are you spending your time doing on those days?
So, we originally had flights down for Wednesday afternoon, boarding the cruise on Thursday, but I know better, and so I moved our flights to Tuesday night. We are both working on Wednesday from the hotel. So, Wednesday the 19th, we're gonna just work. We are staying at there's lots of so we like Disney transportation. We've done this enough that we know that we like Disney transportation because we like to get on the ship as early as we possibly can. However, I don't you'll see that throughout this time, I decide where we wanna spend extra money, and although I have stayed at the Disney transportation or the Disney hotels that are
Mhm.
down in Fort Lauderdale, I didn't wanna do that this trip because I wanted to save where I could, and so we're staying at the Hyatt Place, the airport and cruise port in Fort Lauderdale. We're using their hotel transportation to and from the airport. So Tuesday night when we come in, we're going to use the hotel transportation to the hotel. We're working all day on Wednesday. We do have we've got dinner reservations at Hell's Kitchen in Miami on Wednesday night. So we are huge Gordon Ramsay fans.
Mhm.
And when we realized we could make this all work with us going down the day before, we jumped on the chance to be able to dine at Hell's Kitchen. So I don't know which I'm more excited about. Like, you
That's
know,
funny.
Hell's
How you
Kitchen or
how are you getting there?
we're gonna Uber. So we're gonna be responsible. We're responsible people. We know we'll have a drink or two with dinner and didn't want to have to worry about renting a car or dealing with any of that. So
Mhm.
yeah, so we'll Uber. It should be and we'll talk pricing, like, at the end of this, but from what I'm estimating now, it should be about $50 each way, which is steep, but it is what it is.
Mhm.
Mom budgets until we leave for vacation, and then the minute we step on that plane, mom's budget is out the window, and we'll just spend whatever we spend. It is what it is.
Money doesn't exist on vacation.
It does not, especially when so much is already prepaid. So,
Mhm. That's
um
right. Okay, so you're flying in Tuesday at night, staying at the Hyatt Place, using their transportation to get to your to the hotel. Then Wednesday, working during the day, dinner at Hell's Kitchen, that which you're doing via Uber. So
mhm.
does that bring us to Thursday, November 20th then?
It does. So it'll be somewhat of an early morning, because we have to take the hotel shuttle back to the airport, which I've asked my husband for patience because I can make things chaotic. And so I'm afraid I've made that morning a little chaotic with us going back to the airport. However, again, we wanted that DCL transportation. We are gold this trip and for this first cruise. And it still was putting when people checked in our Facebook cruise groups, when people checked in, Gold was getting, like, boarding group 18 with a 1 o'clock arrival time.
Mhm.
Our arrival time is 10:30, and we have boarding group 3, and it was the best I think it was it was less than $90 for the 3 of us to get the transportation over, and again, sometimes it's worth paying for that convenience. So,
Mhm.
I like being on the ship because as soon as my footsteps on, like, that's true vacation. Nobody
Mhm.
can get in touch with us. We put our phones in airplane mode, and we just have a good time. So, I wanted to be able to start the party as early as we could.
A lot
So
of
that
competition on this maiden voyage. Not surprising.
yeah. Yeah, you'll see in our when we go over our day-to-day plans, we aren't doing anything. And it's not because I didn't try. But again, we've experienced the treasure. So we were on the treasure in March, which we absolutely loved and had such a good time there that when we came home, I booked Memorial Day weekend a cruise on the Wish. And
Mhm.
so with cruising on the Destiny, we will have now cruised the 3 Wish class ships this year. And
Okay. I'm gonna be curious to hear your thoughts afterwards about how you
yeah,
what do you think of all of them?
yeah, so I'm excited to be able to say will have experienced it. I know that, you know, we're super lucky. But
Yes,
yeah,
it's fun.
yeah, so
Okay,
starting the vacation right.
All right, so boarding group 3, you're gonna be one of the first people on the ship. What do you have? Do you have plans on this embarkation day?
We don't. We have a deluxe ocean view stateroom with veranda, so should open about 1:30. It's my understanding though, there's nothing so I know that the media cruise just ended,
Mhm.
and there's no other cruises with passengers on it between now and the maiden. And so I don't know if they'll keep like I don't know if it'll still be that 1:30 time frame or if we'll be able to get in the staterooms early. So we'll do our if we do get in the staterooms early, we'll do our normal pictures of the staterooms and or of the stateroom and then drop our stuff and go explore.
Mhm.
So,
Explore the
yeah.
ship.
Yeah, we always do lunch when we get on the ship. We always do the sit down, and I believe it's at World of Marvel. If I'm what I've kinda heard from the media crews is that the lunch will be at Worlds of Marvel. So, yeah, so we'll go in and drop our stuff if we can and go have lunch and start exploring.
Okay. So you don't have anything else you need to do, like go to the guest services and ask them to fix something or, you know?
No, I mean, we really would have loved to have gotten some tastings. We did get a tasting for the booked for the second cruise, but have decided against it because it was a 10:30 whiskey. It was a 10:30 whiskey tasting the night before we disembark. And we have learned that that doesn't go well with us. So, yeah.
And how does your 8-year-old do on cruises? Does he
He
do kids clubs and things?
he does. He loves them. I was asking him what he's looking forward to, and he is most looking forward to Gaga Ball in the kids club. So he loves going. He's super friendly, makes friends, at the drop of a hat. In fact, when we were on the Treasure, he made a friend with a girl in the kids club. And he was telling us about her that evening at dinner. We're sitting at Worlds of Marvel, and all of a sudden, her and her family come and sit down next to us. And so,
Mhm.
like, the rest of the like, this was our first night, and so the rest of the cruise, like, we kinda sat near each other. And so, this girl, Cordy, and her family and grandparents and everybody, they'll be on the 2nd cruise. So, it just so
Oh,
happened that we're all going to be yeah, so he's so excited to be able to see his friend Cordy again, so
I
kinda
love
cool.
that. That's so
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Okay. So shall we talk about Friday, November 21st?
Perfect. So Friday, November 21st, we're at Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point or Lookout Key. I think that one's K. I don't know. Anyways, we went here in this was the second cruise that we got added this year was cruise with friends in August. And so we went to Lookout Cay for the first time, and we aren't big fans.
I was gonna ask you what you do there.
Yeah, so we just this last so when we went in August, we just went to the beach, right? We just went to the family beach, had lunch, kind of what we do at Castaway Key. And we just between the walk and the tram,
Mm,
I love how they have the seating for the meal, but I don't like the pods for the meal because if you want a cheeseburger and chicken, you're standing in two different lines.
mhm.
And whereas, at Castaway, it's all one line. So Lookout is not our most favorite place. So we
Yeah, you
decided,
just reminded me, it's more like a food court, whereas Castaway is more like a buffet.
yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah, that is logistically, it is more difficult. I get it.
Yeah. And so when you've got people, Jackson is a very picky eater. He only eats certain things. So, one of us is standing in a different line and it was chaotic. And yeah, it wasn't our favorite setup.
Mhm.
So, we decided that we were gonna get off the ship that day, and we booked an excursion. We are doing a 9:15 tropical reef safari snorkel. We have found out that we have come to love snorkeling in the different places that we have gone, and so, coral's supposed to be great there, and so we're gonna go ahead and we've got that snorkel booked for our lookout day.
Okay, so you're saying instead of just getting off the ship and spending the time on the beach itself, you're gonna go do an activity,
Yes.
do something else.
Yeah, and that's and this makes us sound crazy, but, like, it's just walking to the end of the pier. So the excursion picks up there at the end of the pier.
Mhm.
And then when we come back, I would put money on the fact that we'll head back to the ship.
Mhm. Okay.
So,
I get it. I'll tell
yeah,
you the only thing I've enjoyed there is the family cabana because it's on the side closest to the ship and it's really fun, but I've seen some erosion on that beach too, so who knows what it looks like now.
I know. And it's the and let me like the sand and the water. So at Castaway, you kind of get you've got the plants and stuff and the water, it is what it is. And at Lookout, there wasn't any of that. It was absolutely gorgeous. It's just a trek.
Mhm.
And I think if we would have started with Lookout and then gotten Castaway as the second island, I don't think anybody would think anything about it. But because we've been so spoiled with Castaway
Mhm.
and then get Lookout, and it's just we'd rather just treat it. This sounds horrible, but like as a sea day. So
Mhm. You're
yeah,
allowed
so
to do whatever you want.
oh, exactly. Yeah. And so we did decide to go ahead and do this one excursion. And so we're going to do the snorkel that morning and then probably head back to the ship because we'd rather eat back on the ship than at the food, especially because we're doing this cruise has both Lookout and Castaway.
Mhm.
So it's the same lunch back to back. And the menus are the same exact for both islands. So we'd rather
Mhm.
just go back to the ship.
Okay. Any other plans on that Friday?
No,
All right, then what's Saturday?
Saturday is our Castaway Key Day. We do plan on getting off. We have nothing booked. We will likely end up maybe snorkeling, going out to see the little statues. Our 8-year-old Jackson, he has become a much better swimmer. So we might go out. It just depends upon kind of the weather and the temperature of the water. I can be a wuss if it's cold.
Mhm.
So we just plan to have a relaxing day. We have rented bikes before. We might or might not do that again. Just kind of doing a lot of nothing.
Okay. All right. Anything else booked on that day
No,
or planned? You didn't book
I
anything.
know. Yeah,
Okay.
nothing.
Sunday, November 23rd.
So that's our sea day. We plan to just jump in, and of course, the other days as well, just jump in full force of character meet and greets. We have tried to stay away from the media cruise spoilers that have come out, but from what we have seen, there's a Maleficent meet and greet, there's a Loki meet and greet, there is an adult show with Deadpool. So we're looking forward to being able to do some of that. We are huge Marvel fans. So when the Destiny was announced with Spider-Man and the spider bots on the back of the ship and Black Panther like there as the statue in the Grand Hall, we knew this was going to be our ship. So we're really
Mhm.
excited to be able to see the different, you know, what they've got.
Okay. All right. Then what is November 24th, Monday?
November 24th, Monday. So that is the disembarkation day for everybody else that's not staying on for the second cruise. There are there's like 3 or 4 Facebook cruise groups for the maiden voyage. And from what I have seen, there's probably 50 of us or so that have announced like, "Hey, yeah, we're staying on for back to back." We've never done a back to back. So we are staying in the same stateroom. That was the only when I proposed this to my husband and I was like, "This is kind of what I'm thinking." He said, "Do we have to repack and unpack again?" And I said, "No." And he's like, "Sign us up."
Can you remind me the logistics of what you do have to do?
So so as far as I know, we'll get a letter in our stateroom the night before that will have a time that we have to meet the DCL cast members. They will walk everybody off the ship. And then I kind of have heard, because of course I've not done this yet, but I've kind of heard some mixed things. We're off the ship for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and then we're the first ones let back on the ship. So even before family of the day or concierge or anything, so we're allowed back on. And so from what I understand, we should be back on by about 10:30.
Okay. Hopefully back on by 10:30. Okay.
So we'll see what happens. We'll get up, we'll go to breakfast and, meet them. And we're spending this day again as a sea day. If we haven't planned to go, or if we haven't been able to hit the dung,
Mm.
I don't remember what the name is of the one on these. We might hit that up. We might swim. Like it's so weird, like, planning Walt Disney World or Disneyland trips, you
Mhm.
have it planned to the minute, and these cruises, unless you have booked a ton of stuff, it's just kinda we're gonna go with the flow. I might do some laundry,
Mhm.
you know?
I think that people who've never cruised before might mistake the lack of details or planning for being not busy, which is not necessarily the case.
It is. In fact, my husband was telling me last night, Andrew was saying, "This first cruise, can we just go for it? Stay
Mhm.
up all hours." They do the kiss goodnight at midnight
Mhm.
every single night. He's like, "I wanna see it every night because"
Every night, wow.
I know he's this big burly guy that
Mhm.
just you would never know it, but he's got such a soft heart, and
I have a theory that DCL dads are the best dads.
he'll be running around like no joke. I have left to go when we were on the Treasure, there's an adults only show that they do with Sage and Coriander. That's like a Indiana Jones, and I Jackson went to the kids club, Andrew went to that, and I went to bed.
Mhm.
Like, he would go 100 miles a minute if he could.
Okay.
So and he has said, "Can we try and get as much done as possible on the first one? And then the second cruise, relax a little bit more and then do the things again that we really loved from the first one." So,
So you're gonna try everything and then redo the things you like.
yes.
Okay. So this disembarkation, embarkation day is
Mhm.
mostly for you, just time on the ship
Yeah, and I
and maybe doing
do
laundry.
yeah, and I think we're allowed in our staterooms before that 1:30 time frame. I don't think we ever get access closed off for us, so I'll report back.
Okay. I am real curious.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to find out.
Okay. So Tuesday, November 25th.
We're back at Lookout, and we're not getting off the ship. We are going to I don't know if maybe I'll book a pedicure or, kind of maybe we'll do a rainforest room for the day, depending upon what the kids club looks like. It just we're gonna kinda play it by ear, but I don't believe that we plan to get off.
Okay. You're gonna know everything about this shit by the time you get home.
I hope so. Like,
Yeah.
I want to, like, start at the top deck and just work my way down and just kinda take it all in and relax a little bit. Like, I wanna sit on my balcony and read a book.
Okay. You'll have time to do it. That's
I
great. That's
know.
one of the things that gives me anxiety about these bigger ships is that it never it feels hard to get settled. You know what I mean? Like, how do I get the layout down? Where is everything at? And
It
then by the time you
is.
figure it out, it's time to go home, but you're gonna have time to do all that.
Well, and that's kinda why we wanted to experience the Wish as well, and we kinda jumped on a great rate and, free tickets through Southwest with points and which is why we did the Wish, because the Treasure we were there for we were on the Eastern Caribbean, did a 7-night cruise, and still didn't see the entire ship,
Mhm.
and, there were some like, the Dream and Fantasy, I think are gonna always be my favorite class of ships. I don't know if it's because it feels like home because that's what I've sailed on the most.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I wanna be able to compare and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a big Disney kid at heart. Like
Yeah.
I love it. I just wanna sit in the grand hall and just look around.
Well, it
I have
sounds like
time.
you're not gonna have to do it alone either.
No.
All right, so I bet I can guess what Wednesday, November 26th is.
Yes, Castaway Key.
Mhm.
We will get off the ship that day. Again, Castaway is our, relaxation from home, just put the chairs in the water and sit there all day as long as I can. We might again ride bikes, we might snorkel. We love the little four-seater pedal boat, just kind of take it in, but nothing planned. And
Mhm.
not because we didn't really try.
And this one was hard too, the second one?
The second one was hard, not necessarily for excursions, but the second one was hard. Like we didn't get the only tasting I could get was the whiskey tasting. There were no Palo dinners, no Palo brunches.
That is
Palo has
nuts.
opened up a little bit more, and I do have a reservation because this will be my first platinum cruise, so we technically would
Can
get
get a
Palo
free
dinner
one.
for free.
Mhm.
But then again, like, I don't know, this is it's over Thanksgiving, so I don't know what we're gonna do.
Okay, well, I hope you do get your free fallow dinner. That would be great.
I
Um,
I will probably actually, I'll make a note of this too. During the first cruise, I'll be like, "Hey, we're on the second cruise and I really want a brunch. So let's see if we can make that happen." So I do
mhm,
plan on asking for a brunch at Palo because I'd rather have brunch than dinner.
mhm. Okay. So you said this the Thanksgiving cruise, and the next day is Thursday, November 27th, which is actual Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Do you have any
And
plans?
we don't have anything set in stone. And of course, and I haven't mentioned it, like we're gonna see the shows at night. We're excited.
Mhm,
Hercules has gotten some amazing reviews.
mhm.
So we do plan on going to see the shows at least one time. Zootopia 2 comes out on Thanksgiving. And
Okay.
so
Fun.
yes, so we have done oh my goodness. I don't remember what movie came out. We saw another premiere at sea earlier
Mhm,
this year. I don't remember what it was. Lilo and Stitch. The
mhm.
live action Lilo and Stitch, we were on board when that came out. And it was fun to be able to say, we got to see a movie for free. A brand new movie.
In a big theater, and, like,
Yeah.
the staff kinda goes out all out for the occasion.
Yeah, and so we do plan on seeing Zootopia 2. We love Zootopia.
Mhm,
So, we plan on seeing that on Thursday at some point, and then from what I understand, so the dining and I don't know if it's just for these 4-night cruises or how so what we've experienced in the past is, like, because there's the 3 dining rooms, and they'll do the rotation, and it'll be dining
mhm.
room 1, dining room 2, then dining room 2 again, and then dining room 3. This one, from what I'm understanding, you go 1, 2, 3, 1. So where you
Okay.
start your first night, you have your last night.
Mhm.
And then so I'm not sure how Pirate Night works with that, because Pirate Night is usually Castaway Key Night, which
Mhm.
so I'll obviously have that information when we come back. But from what I understand, there's a Pirate Night on the second cruise, but it's a Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay,
So
so not
it's
the pirate menu.
so not the pirate menu, it'll be a Thanksgiving menu.
Okay. And speaking of dining, are you guys main dining people or late dining people?
We are late dining people. So and I try to request we want our own table, just us. And I always try to request, like, near entertainment or, whatever, or not even request anything. However, when we were on the Wish, we had an assistant server. Her name is Erica. She's from Brazil. She is opening the Destiny as a server. And so we have
Mm.
requested Erica. In fact, I've been Facebook messaging her, seeing if there's anything I can pick up for her that she's missing from the States or but yeah, we've become really good friends with the server Erica. She's amazing. So we have requested her as our server. So I don't care where we sit. I don't I don't care about any of that. We
You're
want to
just
sit in
gonna
the
have her.
session.
And
Yeah.
did you request her for both cruises, I assume?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So are we ready for Friday, November 28th, which is disembarkation?
We are. I had planned on DCL transportation back to the airport. Our flight's not until 4 o'clock that afternoon. So we live in Nashville. And the flights out of Fort Lauderdale are either early morning or late afternoon. So there was like a 10 o'clock that I didn't even want to try to make, or there was this 4 o'clock. So I just planned on kind of hanging out at the airport all day. My husband, on the other hand, that is not his ideal day. So I have not canceled it yet, but I'm canceling the Disney transportation. And we are renting a car through Avis. So we'll take either an Uber or the Avis shuttle over to Avis, pick up a car, and I don't know what we'll do that day. We have traveled around Miami and Fort Lauderdale because we've cruised out of there so much. We love Wynwood Walls in Miami, so we might head to Wynwood Walls. It's this really cool art district. So we might head there. There's a pizza place that we really like called Frank Pepe's Pizzeria. And
Would it be safe to say you've done multiple cruises out of Fort Lauderdale?
we have done, yeah, I think this is number technically 4 and 5.
It's a town that is perfectly set up for cruising. It's wild.
It's fabulous, like, and then, like, I've got a friend cruising out of Port Canaveral today, and she was like, "I'm so close to Walt Disney World, and I'm not going, I can't believe it." And so then, like, for us, like, we're not close to Walt Disney World. There's no, like, "Hey, I'm 50 minutes away, maybe we just go Uber there for the day, or take the rental car for the day."
Mhm.
There's none of that. This is a Disney Cruise Line vacation.
That totally separate. But if you wanted to go, Brightline is right there.
We have done that, and it is
Mhm.
fabulous.
Mhm.
Yeah, we did that last year.
Mhm. Yeah, it's very convenient.
Mhm.
Okay, and then you're gonna have your rental car during the day,
Yeah.
and then you'll go back to the airport for your 4 o'clock flight.
Yep, and then we'll fly home to Nashville.
Okay. You said at the beginning you would talk pricey at the end.
Mhm. So,
What information?
do you want pricing now, or do you want it at the end of the trip once everything is
I will make a note to ask you
okay.
afterwards if you would like to.
Yeah, I'll have all that ready to go for the end of the
Okay,
coast trip.
that is always helpful. People love to know. Okay, is there anything we haven't talked about then, Elizabeth?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'm excited for you, and I'm excited to hear about
Good.
the Destiny because I like to hear about things when regular guests are on board. I
Yeah.
don't trust the media ones because they do things a little bit differently. They add extra things to get the word out, and I'm like, "No, no, no, I wanna know how it really is."
I know, and we are my son, he's that perfect age to get sucked into YouTube. He knows all about WDW Prep School, and he's got his little favorite people that he watches, but there's a couple of vloggers that are gonna be on the ship, and he's like, "I'm so excited." So,
Well, and when you're on the ship with people that make content, you see them over and over and over and over.
yeah,
Then
yeah,
that'll
so
be easy for you.
he's like, "I think I'm gonna say hi." And I was like,
Mhm.
"You can say hi to anybody."
Yeah, that'll be fun. Okay, well, have a great time, and I'll talk to you after Thanksgiving.
Sounds good, thank you.
'Tis the season for identity theft. This time of year, most of us are checking off our holiday gift lists. But guess what? Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on them. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second and alerts you to threats you could miss by yourself, even if you keep an eye on your bank and credit card statements. If your identity is stolen, your own US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. And all plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. The last thing you want to do this holiday season is face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or other financial losses from identity theft all alone. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code IHEART. Or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
Amazon 5-Star Theater presents Real Customer Reviews, performed by Eva Longoria. Tonight's review, Sports Briefs. Oh boy, where do I even start with these performance mesh boxer briefs? They keep everything in place, even during intense jumping jacks. These boxer briefs are like a magician's trick. You know the one where you go, where did that rabbit come from? So if you're looking for underwear that not only performs well, but also gives your package the attention it deserves, then look no further. 5 stars, Nicolicious. Thank you for listening to Amazon 5-Star Theater. There are endless gifts that can make the male friend in your life feel supported and heroic. Gifts that make them feel like they can conquer jumping jacks and perform impromptu magic tricks. And they're all on Amazon. Shop the perfect gift this holiday season on Amazon.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first, there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
Welcome back from your trip, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much, Shannon.
We're talking on Wednesday, December 3rd, and you've been back for a few days. How did your cruises go?
We had the trip of a lifetime.
Really?
Truly. Yes.
Okay,
So
I love when people say that. Even if it goes bad, I'm curious to hear those stories too, but I prefer it if it goes well. Okay, let's walk through it because I am very curious because you were the first paying customers, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're the first crew. So let's start with Tuesday, November 18th. You flew into
So
Fort Lauderdale, right?
Tuesday, yes. So Tuesday, November 18th, it was a normal work day, normal school day for my husband, my son, and myself. Andrew works near the Nashville airport, so he Ubered from work over. I took him into work that morning, and then he Ubered over, and we have a local car service that the gentleman that owns it, if you're ever in Nashville, Dad Wagons. But the gentleman that owns it lives in our neighborhood, and so we had a car service from home. So she came about 4 o'clock, picked us up. We were ready to go. I will tell you that because of everything that had been going on with the government shutdown and just everything not feeling secure, I did have a minivan rented to pick up in Nashville that evening to drop off after we would have driven home. And as we were taxiing from our gate, I canceled the reservation
Mhm.
because I wanted to be on that airplane. And even then, you're not necessarily going to know that you're going to get in the air, but I felt confident in canceling the reservation at that point in time. So we did not have to drive, thank goodness.
But that's a testament to having backup plans. You're not the
Yeah, like
first trip report guest to have plan B.
yeah, and that's something that is so important with your plans. You spend all of this money and all of this time planning, and I'm not gonna have a government shutdown, uh, stand in my that sounds horrible. I know this is like first world issues,
Mhm.
but I'm not gonna have yeah, I have to have a back I had backup plans for my backup plans, like, we
So,
were
how
getting
much anxiety does it give you to see the people that arrive the day of the cruise?
oh, there's no way. There's so and like we talked about before, we originally were gonna come down Wednesday night. And even that because I guess I look at it as we're in Nashville. From Nashville to Fort Lauderdale, it's a 14-hour drive. So if I'm not flying out more than 14 hours before I'm supposed to be somewhere, that's not enough time for me. Because if something happens and our flight cancels and we have to get on the road, I need to make sure I can get there in time. I
Yeah,
cannot I could not deal with
I have
a
to
minute
tell
that day.
you, I'm flying out in a couple days. I feel very vulnerable because I'm in Mexico and going into the United States. I can't drive to Florida if something
Yeah.
happens to my flight. But I hear you. So
So,
you flew and got into Fort Lauderdale though.
yeah, flight was great. I called our hotel. We were staying at the Hyatt Place Cruise Port and Airport Hotel, and it was great. Like, as we landed, I called and said, "Hey, we're here. What do we do?" And he said, "We'll send our shuttle driver out to you." And so we grabbed our suitcases and met the shuttle driver. We were at our hotel by 10 p.m. that night.
Mhm.
So our flight here, I think, was at 6:30. We landed at 9:30 Florida time, and we were at the hotel by 10, so it was great.
All right. And then the next day, you still had another full day before your cruise. So Wednesday, November 19th, you
Yeah.
were working from hotel, had dinner
We
plans.
we did, we worked from the hotel. It worked out perfectly that where we stayed, like, had a desk set up with a little refrigerator and microwave and couch, and it was great. So Andrew and I both worked, and we walked over to there was a little strip mall next to us, and so just across the parking lots, we walked over to this little Mexican restaurant, kinda like a Chipotle or Dos Bros or something like that, had lunch there, and then walked back, worked for the rest of the afternoon. And then we came upon our Hell's Kitchen dinner reservation.
Mhm.
And that was something we had both been looking forward to almost as much as the cruise, just because we're huge Gordon Ramsay fans.
Mhm.
We don't miss any of his shows. We absolutely love anything to do with him. So to be able to eat at the restaurant that night, so something that really got me was I had been watching Uber all day. And we were staying in Fort Lauderdale and Hell's Kitchen was in Miami
Mhm.
and it's like 20 miles. And I forget that, like, I'm 20 miles from Nashville.
Mhm.
I don't drive into Nashville. Like, I work from home full time. I forget that just because it's 20 miles doesn't mean it's 20 minutes.
Mhm.
And so at like 5 o'clock, our reservations were for 7. At 5 o'clock that afternoon, I looked at it. said it was a 30-minute drive, and I was like, "Oh, that's great, like, I'll get a car around 6." At 5:50, I checked it, it was an hour and 20 minutes. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." So, of course, like, we're all ready to go, whatever. So we get the car. We get there, we're about 10 minutes late for our reservation, which is not a big deal at all. It was exquisite.
Okay.
It was so good. Like, if you ever have the chance to dine at one of his restaurants, I didn't know what to expect. We didn't look at any pictures. I knew what the menu looked like, which is very familiar with, like, his Hell's Kitchen TV show. And so, knew what the menu looked like, but we walked in and the restaurant was gorgeous, and it's got an open concept kitchen, which, of course, you would get that from his TV show. Half of it is red, half of it is blue, so just like his blue and red teams. One of the kitchens was shut down that night. This was a Wednesday evening, they weren't very full, so it was just one kitchen working, but it was such a fun experience, and I'll make sure at the end I'll send pictures, make
Mhm.
sure to send pictures of Hell's Kitchen because it was so much fun, and every little detail, it reminded me a lot of Disney, dare I say, because Disney's in the details, right? Like, every little
Yeah.
thing has a purpose.
Mhm.
Even the lights were the pitchforks for Hell's Kitchen. I'll send all that over to you. It was really
C
cool.
Can I ask how hard was it to get a reservation and how expensive a meal it is?
Well, it
Don't
wasn't
tell
hard.
your husband didn't wanna know the prices, so just
He
tell me.
actually so he knows this price. He
Okay.
doesn't know the cruise prices, but he knows this price, but it was not hard. I believe my husband got it on Open Table,
Mhm.
and in fact, I think we even changed it. They open it maybe 60 days in advance, and we even changed because we were originally scheduled to come in Wednesday night, and then we came in Tuesday. So we
Mhm.
changed it a few weeks beforehand and had no problem.
Mhm.
And again, it was a Wednesday night. It's kind of in the business district of Miami, and it wasn't empty by any means, but it was probably 2/3 full, so there was still room. And the dinner, though, it was before tip, I think it was about $350.
Mhm.
And that only included I had 2 drinks and he had 1, so that wasn't even alcohol.
Mhm.
I think so my husband got the prix fixe, which is the scallops, he got the beef Wellington, and then
Of
he got
course.
and then the sticky toffee pudding.
Mhm.
I think that was 120 or 150 just for that, but it was worth it.
Mhm.
It was the level of service, again, like Disney, and Gordon's probably gonna throw bread at me or something and, because 'cause I'm likening his restaurant to Disney, but it's just
Well,
that
Victoria and Albert's has a Michelin star.
that is true, but yeah, that next level of service, it was great. I had asked for a chocolate martini at the end for dessert. I don't drink coffee, but I love chocolate martinis. My husband makes them for me all the time, and the bartender was like, "Do you want it like this or like this?" And kind of asking the different liquors, and so it was cool that they took that much pride in it. And my little guy, who is somewhat picky, not somewhat, he's very picky, they had cheese pizza. It was like a cheese flatbread. So, they really it was great. It was, dare I say, it was the best meal of our entire trip. I mean,
Doesn't surprise me.
we all know Disney cruise food. But yeah, and my husband so the sticky toffee pudding is not something that he would have necessarily ordered just himself, but that was what was on the prefix meal, and he's like, "I've heard many things about it."
Mhm.
And our waitress had told us that it was his grandmother's recipe that they are still making to this day. And my husband took a bite and he likened it to in The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy opens the door and sees color for the first time.
Oh,
He said
nice.
he said, "It was like I saw color for the very first time." He said it was that delicious, like, the best dessert he's ever had in his entire life. So,
Okay.
there you
Well,
go.
I'm glad it was worth the trouble to go from Fort Lauderdale to Miami
Yes.
and the money and the time and everything.
Yeah, and it was at the end of the day, it was worth it. And we did Uber there and back. It was like $60 to get there, and then it was like $40 to get back. So about $100 in Uber,
Mhm.
and then our dinner.
Mhm. Okay. That's a
So
fun little side quest before your
yes,
cruise.
yeah.
And
The
we
next
always try to do something like that. Just, if we sail out of Port Canaveral, like we have gone kayaking before, and just to kind of do something fun to start the vacation off.
Mhm. Well, the next day was cruise day,
Yes.
Thursday, November 20th, and you were headed to the cruise terminal.
We did things a little backwards, but in the end, it was totally worth it. So instead of getting to the port by ourselves or taking the shuttle that the hotel provided, it was, I think, $15 a person. We paid for Disney transportation.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to pay to stay at the hotel that they transported from. So we paid to get from the airport to the port. So
Oh,
that means
that's right.
So that means we had to take an 8 a.m. shuttle and so I got an email beforehand, and the DCL representative will start checking people in at 8:30. The first bus will leave at 10:30. So when I hear that, I'm gonna be there at 8:30 in line. Like, I wanna be on that first bus. So I
But
asked.
that's 8:30 at the airport, so you have to kill time between 8:30 and 10:30 at
Yes.
that's kind of small airport.
And we did. It ended up being fine, but we took a shuttle from our hotel, an 8 a.m. shuttle from our hotel. We got back to the airport about 8:20-ish, and then walked right into the terminal the DCL transportation is from each of the terminals, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe not 5. There was something but it didn't affect us, so I didn't pay much attention to it. But I know you could go for multiple terminals. So we just went into Terminal 1, which is where we were dropped off from our hotel, and met with DCL there. It was a cluster.
Mm.
It was like they've never done this before.
Which is
Um,
crazy because that town is built for this.
and it's not like this. I mean, I know it was the first cruise for the Destiny, but this wasn't the first cruise that they've done airport transportation for. Like,
No.
they have a home now at Port Everglades. Like, this should just be smooth sailing, and it wasn't.
Mhm.
So check-in was supposed to start about 8:30. People were kinda sitting around, with their luggage. Now, we've done Disney transportation before, and we've done it from the hotels there in Fort Lauderdale, and even from the hotel at the resort going to Port Canaveral. So we've done this before. In both of those instances, they take your luggage. Fort Lauderdale transportation from the airport to the port, they don't. You take your luggage with you. And so that was it just ended up being a little bit of a nuisance. So we get there, we kinda get settled, and then they're not checking anybody in at 8:30, and they're not checking anybody in closer to 9, and we're like, "What's going on?" And so finally they start checking people in. Well, then, like, people that had just shown up were in line to check in. And those of us that had all been there since before 8:30, we were like, "Wait a second. You need to please check us in first so that we can get on that first bus." Like, you don't want us standing and making a line, but then when it's time to check in, we don't have that opportunity to,
Mhm.
get on that first bus. And again, it sounds silly, but they ended up, like, making sure that those of us that were there first were able to get checked in first. What was different to me on this one too was at the other 2 hotels, they checked our passports. They made you show your birth certificate and your driver's license or your passport, or else you were not getting on the bus. They didn't do that here. And when we were at one of stayed at, like, All-Star Sports or something before a cruise and had gone to another All-Star resort to pick up, that's where these people found out that they didn't have their passports with them, and it ended up delaying us, like, 45 minutes to an hour because they couldn't find their passports. Ended up that they had packed it in their luggage, so they had to call the luggage truck
Mm.
back to the resort. So, there was not that they absolutely needed to check their passport, but there was no, like, double check there. There was no making sure that everybody had their passports or had what they needed to have, which I felt kind of was off.
Mhm.
But we had our passports with us. It wasn't an issue. The first bus was supposed to be there at no, first bus was supposed to be there at 10:15, and we were supposed to leave at 10:30. At 10:20, they said they didn't realize how many buses they would need for today's transportation, and so we don't have a bus for you.
I wonder if no, I was gonna say I wonder if it's different is the size of the ship. The ship's obviously big, but so are, like, some of the other ships that are there.
Yeah, and, like, we all paid, and you have a list of our names.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so the buses, they said that they didn't realize how many hotel guests had signed up for transportation, so the buses went to the hotels first instead of the airport, and I am, like I can just feel it in my blood. Like, I'm frustrated because I handle logistics for
Mhm.
companies. Like, it's not that hard, but it ended up being fine. They ended up getting there. I have it that we walked outside at 10:45 and we were on the bus at 11:09. And by 11:23, we saw the ship for the first time.
Mhm.
We weren't there at the port, but it was when you go over that bridge and you can
Mhm.
see the ship. So I mean, and by the time that we got off, so because we had to have our luggage, we weren't allowed off of the bus until the luggage was all unloaded. So, and it's one person unloading all of the luggage. Yeah,
For a
it's
whole
the
bus.
driver for a whole entire bus. So that was like a 10-minute delay, which is just a little frustrating when you're chomping at the bit to get there. And then we all have the third boarding group. Some people were Pearl, so they had the second boarding group. And we're just ready to get on. And we know that it's already like, we know that concierge is probably on the ship already and we wanna get on there, and people were mad, so I just kept my mouth shut and just kinda grumbled to myself. But we were checked in the terminal by 11:50. So, left the airport at 11:10, and we were in the terminal checked in at 11:50. They were on boarding group 1 and 2, and then they called us, or boarding group 3, at 11:53.
Mhm.
So we take our picture, and we were on the ship. They announced us at 12:11. So, at the end of the day, none of that delay really mattered.
It just could
Uh,
have been smoother.
it could have felt, for them to say, "We don't have a bus for you because we didn't know how many people were gonna be here," that just doesn't that's not right. Like, that doesn't sound right.
I think the thing I think about a lot is families with young children who they prefer the Disney option because they assume it's going to be easier for them. And all these like logistical challenges just feel like it would be much harder when you're trying to juggle kids and luggage and all the things.
Yeah, like, so for instance, we were at the airport for 2 hours before anything really happened. We have an 8-year-old. He's he's a great kid. He's a great traveler. This boy has been flying since he was 6 weeks old. But he was bored out of his mind. And
Mhm.
then he's wanting to, like, run around, and you can't run, and so they have you where you meet the transportation for the cruises is there in the baggage pickup. So you've got people grabbing their bags and going to rental cars, and it's just this big movement.
Mhm.
And it was fine. It ended up, we talked to people, we met some really great people that we saw on the ship multiple times, and some of the kids played together. But yeah, it was just like, "Come on, I'm ready to get this started."
First impressions of the ship.
So from the outside, where they drove us, so coming in from Fort Lauderdale before, or coming into Port Everglades before, I've always come the opposite direction, which is less industrial. So this time we were, like, taking a more industrial route, and you get to drive right by the bow of the ship, and it's gorgeous. And, like, to see Captain Minnie with her, like, little superhero pose, it was it was so cool to know that, no paying passengers had ever been on this ship before. People have said really good things about it, and we tried to stay away, but people have said really good things about it, but they also got free cruises out of it. So how
Mhm.
much was real, right? So we walk in, and it's got that initial cruise, like, that cruise ship smell. It's that same smell that all the ships have, that people are now buying the oil to be able to put in their homes.
Mhm.
The grand hall. So we get in there, and they announce us, and Captain Minnie is up in the little balcony, and she's absolutely adorable. I have to say, and I don't know that I don't think that I saw her in that costume anywhere else except on that balcony. And it was adorable. It was super cute. But you walk in, and you're used to these grand chandeliers, right? Like, they're just next level. And this chandelier was just different. It's vibranium. So instead of it being ornate or like Cinderella slippers or little birds or, like the lamps in the treasure, it's are you pulling it up? It's
Yes.
yeah. It's just it's distinctive. Not that it's bad.
If you've
Um,
been on lots of cruises, it's hard not to sort of compare.
yeah, yeah. And it's
It's very modern.
very modern. Very modern.
Mhm.
And I have realized I kind of like the ornate. When I think chandelier, I wanna see it, like, gaudy and, it just and this isn't at all.
Yeah. And if I understand correctly, the Destiny is very, very well themed,
Mhm.
and it feels like maybe it is sort of on that.
Oh,
It is on
100%. I
theme,
mean,
but
it's
I can see what you how you feel though.
yeah, it's definitely so it's heroes and villains, and it's Marvel, and so, like,
Mhm.
I knew part of that, but then I had not seen what the chandelier would look like, and I was just, like, not disappointed, it just is different. But to see T'Challa, like, see the statue of King T'Challa and Black Panther and just it was so amazing, and I don't know if it's because of I just had his name in my head that played Black Panther that passed away.
Chad
Chadwick Bo
Boseman?
Boseman, yes. I don't know if it's because, like, knowing that he filmed that movie and was battling cancer and didn't tell anybody, or he passed away during, that the 20 like, didn't pass away from COVID, but passed away during 2020, and that the movie just resonates with me. It's probably my favorite Marvel movie, and I think it's just because I fell in love with him, right?
Mhm.
So to see the statue, it was amazing. And I know Disney is a lot of princesses. I have a daughter. We've done princesses. I hope one day I have granddaughters. The girly stuff is fun, but being the mom of an 8-year-old boy now, it's fun to have boy stuff out. And not I don't want to label it as just boy stuff or just girl stuff because we like our princesses in this house too. But it was cool to see superheroes.
Princess lovers versus superhero lovers.
Yes. We walk that path between maybe it's like 80-20 though.
Mhm.
Jackson puts up with my princess love. So, but yeah, it was great. It was beautiful.
Good. I can see what you mean though, about being immediately hit with a slightly different look, but
Yeah.
it feels like it's part of the whole experience maybe, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. And because there was they had done a media cruise that ended the day before ours. So because there was nobody on the ship that night, our staterooms were ready when we got on. And so we
Very
were
unusual.
yes. And so it was weird to be able to go straight to your room.
Mhm.
We did before we dropped everything off, we had to check out the kids club because Jackson is raring to go and excited, and the check-in area and the thing that I loved about the ship the most, I think, was this check-in area for the kids club. It's Wreck-It Ralph. The stairs from deck 3 down to deck 2, right in that area, and I'll send pictures of this as well. The carpet looks like waffle cones, and there's pink lighting underneath it, so it looks like an ice cream cone with strawberry ice cream. It is so cool.
The Imagineers,
Yeah,
I just wanna be in the room where that happens, where they're sitting around going, "What if?"
yeah,
That's
yeah,
so
like,
fun.
they had at each of the posts down at the end of the stairs were towers of macaroons, and Wreck-It Ralph is there with his arms up. Like, that was really cool.
Mhm,
But to do that little touch of this, strawberry waffle cones,
mhm.
and I kept every time we'd walk down those stairs, I'd tell my son, like, "I love these so much," and finally he was like, "Why do you love them?" And I'm like, "They're just fun," you know? So we walked down there, and we saw the kids club. It's the same layout as the other Wish class ships. I don't remember him saying that there was anything different, and there was nothing different that I can remember that stands out. So we met some of the kids club cast members that were down there and got him registered. And then we did go up to our stateroom. And so it was great. We were on a floor with Hercules and Mulan. And so we were on deck 6. We were at the forward elevators. We were probably 5 or 6 rooms in front of those forward elevators. So it was a great location. Our room, it was a 5C, it slept 3 people. We did not have that pull-down bunk bed. So it was just the couch bed and then the queen. It was great. It was themed as Mulan. It had one of the pictures was, like, the storyboard of the movie. In fact, Jackson put Mulan on at one point during the cruise, and he kept, like, turning around and looking at the storyboard to see where we were in the process of the movie. So it was cute. Standard DCL stateroom, no complaints, not a ton of storage. I like drawers. There aren't a lot. Did have, that pull-out refrigerator door that, is the cooler. It's not a refrigerator. So it just gets things barely cool. I know. It just I don't know
Why?
what the difference would be if you just can put a refrigerator in there that just keeps things cold.
Why does Disney want us to not have cold food?
I don't know, like, and they advertised we ended up buying a beer package that was, like, I think 12 beers, and because we knew we had them over the 2 cruises, and because you will find out we bring wine on, and then we're having to figure out how to drink it fast enough because we've been drinking everything else and not the stuff that we bring. But, yeah, you couldn't even keep the beer cold. We bought this beer package, it comes to us warm, and the cooler doesn't even keep it cold. And nobody wants to drink lukewarm beer because that's gross.
No, that's yucky. I will tell you that as we're recording this, I'm getting ready to head out on my cruise, and it's the first one where I'm not bringing alcohol on board because I know that they allow it, but I'm like you, I'm trying to get rid of stuff. I'm like, then maybe I shouldn't bring it.
I don't know that we will ever bring alcohol on, like, I don't think we'll ever bring wine or beer on board again, just because we really enjoy sitting in the lounges and having conversations with the bartenders, and we've made some really good friends. I wish they would move off the Destiny because I don't know that we'll go back on the Destiny anytime soon. But yeah, spoiler alert. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
like,
I think it's because, like, most cruise lines have drink packages, and so I think with Disney, they don't have unlimited drink packages, but it's still not that expensive, and so it's like there's plenty of opportunities to buy it on the ship.
yeah, yeah. So I don't think I mean, I'm not buying an $80 bottle of wine either, but I'll sit and spend $80 on a couple of drinks at DeVille's bar.
Especially if they're not gonna provide the refrigerators for you to cool your own
Exactly.
beer.
Yeah, because well, for the rest of our trip, we ended up having to have like an ice bucket sit on the counter that leaks everywhere to keep things cold. So yeah, not ideal, but it's all good. So yeah, so we are in our stateroom. Luggage hasn't come yet. I'm a big unpacker. I don't want to live out of suitcases, especially since we were staying in the same stateroom and we were there for 8 nights. There's no way I could have survived if I didn't unpack. I can't have that clutter everywhere in a small space.
Mhm.
So
So what did you do while you're waiting?
So we just kinda toured the ship around. I've got a note in here. And with this trip and with the next sailing, we had an issue with our Castaway Club gifts.
What was the issue?
So all 3 of us are gold. So you would get the silver gift, the gold gift, and the gold lanyards. Well, for the maiden voyage, everybody got the same lanyard. It was all the same, like, burgundy color, and then it says maiden voyage on it. So we had the 3 lanyards in our stateroom, and then we had the gold gift, but not the silver bag. And I was like, "I really want the silver bag. I know we're supposed to have it." So I'd asked my room steward about it, and he's like, "No, ma'am." He said, "If you're gold, you just get the gold gift." And I was like, "Buddy, I've sailed too many times to know that this isn't the truth, but, we will figure that out." So we did end up getting our silver gift for the maiden voyage, and it's a cute little bag that does say maiden voyage on it. So we did have say an issue, but yeah, had an issue with that. We explored until it was time. I guess our luggage had come. Let me back up a little bit. So we went into the stateroom, kind of looked around a little bit, and then we went up to Marceline Market and had lunch. We usually do that sit down lunch. And so that was in Pride Lands. We tried to do that, and it was by 1 o'clock. I'm trying to think times, and by 1 o'clock, it was already booked. It was at a 30-minute line.
I think that's a testament to who is on this ship, though, right?
Yeah, because it's all
Because it's all people that know what they're doing.
yeah.
And so most I feel like it's easier on most sailings, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody knew exactly what to do and where to be and all of that. So we ended up going up to Marceline. By the time we were done with lunch, we came back down to the stateroom and our luggage was there. So we unpacked. We were fully unpacked by the time it was time to go to the muster drill.
Mhm.
That was in the Walt Disney Theater. And we noticed our stateroom was warm, but we thought it was because we were moving in and out and Jackson was out on the balcony and the curtains were open. So didn't really think much about it. And then we get to the Walt Disney Theater and it is stifling. And I am not one person. My husband always runs hot. I like sleep with a blanket on my side of the bed, even in the summer. Might have the ceiling fan going, but I want a blanket because I'm cold. I was sweating, like sweat drips is dripping down my face. It was so hot. And come to find out, it was an issue that we weren't the only ones that had it. We had it the entire time.
The
Our
entire time.
our stateroom was, yeah, it was bad. Multiple people had technicians in and out at all hours of the day and night. The whole ship runs hot for whatever reason. So, something to look forward to. So,
No,
it was
that's enough to keep me away. I'm hot all the time.
yeah. I mean, and when like and I hate to say it this way too, but like when I'm the one complaining about it, it's hot.
Mhm.
When I've got sweat running down my back, it's hot. And you're inside and the our room steward kept opening up the blinds every day and we would like go right back in and shut them. Like, please don't open them. Please don't touch these. And it was a little bit better. But we would both wake up in the middle of the night and have to turn like the little ice button on, like hit the little ice button because we'd wake up in the middle of the night sweating. I've never experienced that before. So yeah.
Mm.
So good times. The dinner show that so we did the muster drill.
Mhm.
And then we went up to the sail away party. And I told my husband, I will stay away from the sail away party for the second cruise, but I want to do it for this one. And they had champagne up on the ship for everybody, up on the deck. Susan Egan came out, who is the godmother of the Disney Destiny. So she was the original voice of Megara from Hercules. I believe she was the first Belle on Broadway. So she was there, she did the toast, it was amazing, it was so cool. They started it, and spoiler alert, Spider-Man comes and joins. So he comes down during the sail away party. It's the same songs that the Wish and the Destiny do. I think even the Fantasy and Dream are doing the same, sail away songs. It was great, we sailed away. In fact, we were already moving before the party even started. The party was scheduled for 4:30, and we were already out of that area, like, because the ship has to back up, and then it goes out.
Mhm.
It does kind of like a three-point turn. We were already outside of the port area when the sail away party started.
That answers my, question, which is, did Susan Egan just come do the toast and leave, or did she stay on the ship? She had to have stayed on the ship.
She stayed on the ship, there's more to come. It's so
Okay,
fun.
awesome.
So, yeah, so the show that night was Seize the Adventure. We've seen it. It's the same show that's on the Wish and the Treasure.
Treasure. Mhm.
So we decided to explore, that we'd rather explore. Jackson decided he'd rather go to the kids club. So exploring for Andrew and myself was going from bar to bar and meeting the bartenders and, sitting and having a drink. And we absolutely so there's a couple of different lounges or bars on the ship. In the Grand Hall, there is the one that's kind of off to the side of the Grand Hall is DeVille's. It is the smallest room I have ever seen at all on any of the ships. I don't know if it's because the big grand piano, but Scat Cat has a piano in it, but it doesn't seem as small as DeVille's does. In fact, we never made it inside DeVille's because there was always a line. People were waiting an hour to 2 hours to get into this bar. I'm hoping it dies down for people, but what we found is so just like Scat Cat, there is an outside bar to DeVille's as well. And so we sat there, met a bartender named Michelle, and we just sat like, every night before dinner, we'd have a drink there, and it just became our favorite little place to hang out.
Mhm.
So, it was
I'm looking at pictures as you speak, if I can get a visual on it.
yeah. Yeah, so it's like this little so I think I talked about this too, like, I love on the Dream and the Fantasy, I think it's called the Bon Voyage bar because it's kind of just out in the open, you can see what's going on, and they didn't have that on the Wish. Nightingale is all enclosed, but for Scat Cat and for DeVille's, they've got this little outside area, and I don't know why I love it, it's silly, but it's so cute.
Mhm.
So it's this cute little area. So we would find ourselves like, we went from there to the Sanctum. The Sanctum is really cool. It's Doctor Strange's lounge. There were some really cool drinks that had like, they have a levitating drink. They don't put that levitating drink onto your table. You see it there on the bar. If you try to touch it and it falls, it will hurt you. Sorry. But it was great. We just kinda went and looked around and talked to people. We got into conversation again with people that we had, come over on the bus with and just kinda waited for dinner. So, yeah.
And I forget, were you main dining or late dining?
We were late dining.
Okay. So you had
We're
time to do all this.
Yes. Yeah. So we had dinner at 1923. It was great. It was just like the Wish and just like the Treasure, same menu. I do wish that was different.
Mhm.
Like, I just I realized after 8 nights of this that I think, yeah, wish it was all different, but it was great. We had requested a server. Her name is Erica from Brazil. We love her. We were able to get matched with her, so she was our server the entire for the two sailings. It was great. She was absolutely wonderful. We had a great first day, had dinner, and then, unless my notes are wrong, I think after dinner, we just kind of walked around and looked. The shops did open while we were sailing that first night. As the maiden voyage, we got the opportunity to pre-purchase the maiden voyage items. So when we got into our stateroom that day, our items were that I pre-purchased a couple of Spirit jerseys, a hoodie, just a couple of things. They were already in the stateroom. So
Okay.
I had no desire to go and stand in the crowds of the stores that night. It was not fights, but it was there were a lot of people.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
um
it's so interesting. The dynamic of this cruise is very interesting to me because it's just very competitive.
yeah. And you still have there were a couple of vloggers that we saw throughout this first cruise that we're on. So you've got people that are trying to get content, and then you've got people that are the seasoned maiden voyage cruisers that have been on every maiden voyage since, the Magic or Wonder, whichever was first, came on board. And so I it's hard because this cruise ran into people that you know that they know what they're talking about. We know the level that say expect, and we don't really expect it, but yeah, it kind of is an expectation. So, but yeah, it was a great first day. I don't have anything else written down for that day after dinner. I know we didn't go to bed straight after dinner, but I do have to, so I do know the next day was Lookout Key, and I had us originally scheduled for a 9:15 excursion. And I did stand in line at guest services after Port Adventures had closed when I realized it was like 11:30. And there was no way I could get Jackson up and around and ready to snorkel before 9:15 because you had to meet at Lookout Key, so you had to do that walk
Mhm.
before 9:15, and so stood in line, and so I did stand in line at guest services that day. I hadn't planned on it, but stood in line and requested that we get moved to a later one. So the later one was for 11:30
Okay.
that next morning. So they said, "She'll call you first thing in the morning once she's up and around." So and then gifts for that day, for the maiden voyage, you get certain little gifts. Gifts for that day, we got the little Mickey hands on a stick. They had a bag of magnets, door magnets so every stateroom that had a kid in it, they gave you a bag of magnets that they could color that were all the heroes and villains. And then we got these champagne glasses. Let me see if
Mhm.
I can. So they're
People
pe
watching video, it's like a gradient, blue to pink.
Yes, blue to pink, and then there's the Destiny logo on one side, and then it says Disney Destiny on the other.
It's beautiful.
I just kind of barely looked at them when I first opened them, and then I wrapped them back up. Thought they were glass. They are stainless steel.
Mhm.
And so I was like, this is really cool. When I got them home and unwrapped, and I was like, I didn't realize they were stainless steel. But there was a note that said, do not bring these. Like, leave these in your stateroom. We have champagne flutes everywhere. Do not bring these out of your stateroom.
At
And I
least you don't
think
have to
I,
worry about them breaking.
yes, yeah. And I think that maybe they were worried about somebody drinking it and then setting it down, thinking they could get another one later. And there was no getting another one. And then notes for, I had heard that for the other maiden voyages, like the castaway gifts, they were doing one per person, whereas the castaway gifts, they were doing one per family or per stateroom. And then for most of the other things, it was a per person. So, like, we ended up with 3 of the champagne flutes. Even though Jackson is 8 and doesn't drink champagne, he still does like his fancy glasses.
He can have grape juice.
He can, and because this is stainless steel,
Mhm,
he can definitely drink out of his. So we did get 3 of those.
mhm.
But then we, like, got 2 hands and then the set of magnets. So that was the first day gifts.
That is very fun. I didn't realize they were giving out so many gifts, but awesome.
Yes.
'Tis the season for identity theft. This time of year, most of us are checking off our holiday gift lists. But guess what? Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on them. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second and alerts you to threats you could miss by yourself, even if you keep an eye on your bank and credit card statements. If your identity is stolen, your own US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. And all plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. The last thing you want to do this holiday season is face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or other financial losses from identity theft all alone. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code IHEART. Or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
Amazon 5-Star Theater presents Real Customer Reviews, performed by Eva Longoria. Tonight's review, Sports Briefs. Oh boy, where do I even start with these performance mesh boxer briefs? They keep everything in place, even during intense jumping jacks. These boxer briefs are like a magician's trick. You know the one where you go, where did that rabbit come from? So if you're looking for underwear that not only performs well, but also gives your package the attention it deserves, then look no further. 5 stars, Nicolicious. Thank you for listening to Amazon 5-Star Theater. There are endless gifts that can make the male friend in your life feel supported and heroic. Gifts that make them feel like they can conquer jumping jacks and perform impromptu magic tricks. And they're all on Amazon. Shop the perfect gift this holiday season on Amazon.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first, there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
So Friday, November 21st was Lookout Key Day, and you already told us about your tropical reef snorkel excursion that you had rescheduled. And also you had mentioned in the pre-trip that you aren't the biggest fans of Lookout Key. So I'm curious how this day went for you.
So, like I said, that we had tried the day before to move our excursion. We got a phone call at 7:00 that next morning that did in fact move our excursion for us. So we had to be out at the end of the pier at 11:30. So it was perfect. Got Jackson up. I have a night owl, and I think it's because my husband is a born night owl as well. And so Jackson would rather, party all night and sleep during the day. So I don't know why I booked a 9:15 excursion, and I shouldn't have because I know better. He would have gotten up and around, but it would have been might not have been the best day. So we did move it to the 11:30. We're not big fans of Lookout Key. So we got like had breakfast up in Marceline Market and then walked out and, took pictures on the way and just hung out at the little like so if you've been to Lookout Key before, you go kind of under the arches where it welcomes you, and then you go to the right where the tram stop is. There's a little hut that is on your left, and that's where you sign in for the excursions. That's where you check in. We had a delay in our excursion because Disney didn't bring any towels. So we had to wait. We were delayed probably 20 to 25 minutes because we had to wait for them to bring because there's no towels at that stop. And they tell you don't take towels off the ship.
Mhm, mhm,
There will be towels. Well, the towels for Lookout Key are at the next tram stop. They're not at the first.
mhm.
So we had to wait for that. It ended up being fine, but it was still just one of those like, like the planning aspect of it. Like who dropped the ball kind of made it feel like that DCL transportation as well.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, and, all the elements of this cruise are not new to Disney, to Lookout Key, to any of the it's weird.
Yeah. This isn't the first time we've been there.
Not the first time.
So yeah, so we had a ton of fun snorkeling. We got to go where Disney's part of the island is if you're looking at if you're on the cruise ship looking at the island, Disney's portion where they take you by tram is to the right. We took by boat to the left. In fact, I need to look it up. There's gotta be another cruise line. Well, I know there is because the second day there was a cruise ship there. There's
Mhm.
another cruise line that is not far from that tenders not far from where Disney's area is.
I wanna say it's Carnival.
I wondered if it was their new Celebration Key area,
Mhm.
but I never while we were on I thought about it on there, and I hadn't thought about it again until just now, but we went kinda past that area. The reef, they said it was about 40 feet wide and 100 feet long, the area that we were able to snorkel over, and it was we love snorkeling, and this is the first time Jackson has kept a snorkel in his mouth and his head in the water for longer than, 10 seconds. So he was even able to just be able to see things, and we were pointing out the different fish that we saw and the plant life, and apparently there's, I think, a nurse shark that lives right there. We never saw her or him. There's 2 octopi that are there. Never were able to see them. Nobody ever said, "Oh, hey, look, they're over here." Never saw anything big, but it was still fun. We like to explore a little bit. So that was fun. Afterwards, it was that question of, do we take the tram out to the island or do we go back to the ship? And my husband really wanted to take the tram to the island, and I really didn't. And so we didn't.
Mhm.
And I just didn't feel like taking that 20-minute tram ride over there to just, I don't know, turn around an hour later and take another 20-minute tram ride back. Like, I'd rather just go back to the ship. I'd rather see what kind of fun we can get into there. And so we got back to the ship, we ate lunch, and then Jack was in the pool for a little bit. I went to our stateroom to start getting ready for the day or to cuz I have to wash my hair and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff from snorkeling. So I went down to get in the shower and start getting ready for that night. And then Jack and Andrew kept doing I think it's the Donald slide, the yellow slide, just over and over and over again. And it was just walk on. So as soon as they got off, they, turned around and went back on. And Jackson because the first couple times he went down, he kept getting stuck, but he had mastered it, and by the end was just splashing everybody, and it was fun. We had a good time on that, even on the second cruise. So that afternoon, we get back to the room. I'm ready for the day. Andrew and Jackson are showering and getting dressed, and we decide we're trying to figure out what to do. There's trivia, but we've played do we wanna play trivia? Does Jackson wanna go to the kids club? And there was a show for that night that was called and because I didn't really look into I knew Hercules would be here. would be on the ship, but I didn't look into the entertainment. And there was something scheduled for that night called Heroes and Villains One Night Only. And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." But we talked and we were like, "Maybe we'll just see that on the next cruise. Like, we'll do that one on the next one." And the day before, my daughter texts me and she's like, "Did you know that" No, actually, it was this morning. She texted me and she's like, "Jordan Fisher's on your ship." And I said, "No, there's no way." She's like, "Mom, he just posted a picture on Instagram of him and his son up in Marceline Market." And I was like, "Well, maybe he was on the last cruise because" and he's just now posting to Instagram, like, not wanting people to know where he is. So I just blew her off. And so we see these heroes and villains. So I see this, but I don't open up to see what heroes and villains is. I just see heroes and villains one night only as a line item on the schedule. So as we're going, it was like 5 o'clock, and as we're going down to try to see what kind of trouble we could get into, the cruise director is her name's Carly. So she's going through kind of the schedule. And as we're getting off the elevator, I hear Jordan Fisher. And I was like, and then she says Adam J. Levy. And I was like, what's going on? So we're at the forward elevators because we had gotten on the elevators right by our stateroom, and there's a line. And I was like, excuse me, what are you guys lined up for? And they're like, it's the Broadway stars. They're doing like a special presentation for the maiden voyage. And I was like, who's going to be on there? Jordan Fisher, Susan Egan, James Michael, I always pronounce his name incorrectly.
The guy that was in Aladdin? What's his name?
I have it.
Oh, no, that's not him. James.
Yeah, Eigelhart.
Michael James Scott?
James Monroe Eigelhart.
Okay, different. Okay.
So it is Susan Egan, Jordan Fisher, James Monroe Eigelhart, Olivia Davidson, Lisa de Guzman, and Adam J. Levy.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the people was like, you have to go get in line. You have to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were like, okay. So this was like at 5:15. The show's at 6:30. We line up, not really knowing what to expect. And this, as we walked out, and so I don't even know where to begin with this. Like, the show was spectacular. The music director that was there, he played the piano, Benjamin Rahala. The music director that was there that got everything, like they had produced this. We ended up meeting Adam J. Levy later in the cruise. Him and Susan Egan have a company called 10th and Main Productions. Like, so they produced the show. It was all the hero songs, all the villain songs, and that it ended with Happily Ever After.
That's the video that I've seen.
And so it started with Susan Egan singing Belle's opening song from Beauty and the Beast. And Belle's my favorite princess ever. So I'm just sitting there and I'm in awe, and I get video, and then she automatically the music never stops, and she brings out Jordan Fisher at this is the very end, and she brings Jordan Fisher out and talks about Happily Ever After. Well, the song debuted at Magic Kingdom in 2017. And that's when I had my little guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was not a surprise, but he was the perfect ending to our family, the perfect, period. For our family. He completed us. And I can remember standing with him, 6 weeks old, with him in my front pack, sobbing, seeing Happily Ever After for the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm videotaping Jordan Fisher singing Happily Ever After, and I'm just a mess. I'm sobbing. But one thing that, kind of going back a little bit, our little guy is a musical guy. We have season tickets to TPAC here in Nashville. We've seen stuff off Broadway in New York City. He has seen multiple shows. He saw Hadestown when it came here to Nashville.
The first time I saw it was in Nashville.
Was it really?
I can't.
That wasn't this year, was it?
No, it was a few years ago.
And so after he saw it, he started looking up on YouTube Hadestown videos and sees Jordan Fisher playing Orpheus.
Mm-hmm.
So we have videos of Jackson with his guitar on his back, with his red rose out, singing Wait for Me. And he falls in love with Jordan Fisher. So anything Jordan Fisher is amazing. So this whole show, to be there, was just like, I still get chill bumps just thinking about that night. It was so amazing.
And I'm so glad that somebody tipped you off to go.
I mean, what if
Because
we would have
you have 2 cruises, so I understand why you would be like, "You know what? Let me just delay that to the 2nd cruise." But
Yes!
this literally sounds like it's a one night only.
It was a one night only, and they were like I had said something about, like, "Yeah, we were just gonna watch it the next cruise," and she's like, "But it says one night only," and I'm like, "But it can say one night only for this cruise.
Yes,
It's
one
only
night
being played one night."
during this cruise.
Yes. And so we walked out, and my husband and I both said, "That show that night was worth the cost of the cruise."
Mhm.
It was amazing. It's the best thing I've ever and we were kind of on the s well, we were on the side, but we were 3 rows back, so close enough. In fact, at some point, Jackson turns around, he's like, "Did you see Jordan Fisher just pointed at me? He pointed at me, mom."
Mhm.
And it was so cool to see, these people that are just people,
Mhm.
but they've had such an impact in, James Monroe Iglehart, like, he was the genie. When I
Mhm.
think and I know Robin Williams was the genie for the movie, right? But when I think of the genie, that's who I think of. It's not Robin Williams. It's Genie from Broadway.
Mhm.
And so he said now that they did a Broadway Q&A a couple days later, and he says now they have a really hard time casting because he has set the look of the genie. So if those boys that audition don't have a shaved head, they're shaving their head.
Mhm.
So, but it was so good. So good.
I'm glad you got to go
Yes.
because it feels like if you're gonna be on a main voyage, you might as well do the things that are special.
Yeah.
And you got some, like, exclusive merch, exclusive entertainment throughout, so it's really cool.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. And then we went to dinner at Marvel, which is
Mhm.
my least favorite place. If you and you have I know you're on the Treasure this next week, but you have not been on it yet, right?
No, I've been on the Wish.
Okay. So the Marvel menu at the Wish has Spider-Man in it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the first night on the Treasure. The second night on the Treasure is there's a little skit with Rocket and Groot,
Mhm.
and then you do trivia. So
Mhm.
that's the dinner that is on the Destiny. I think the menu's better than the first night, but it's still like, it's trivia. Like, it's a heroes and villains ship. Why don't we have Spider-Man walking through or,
Mhm.
you know
On a ship that is so focused on entertainment and so well
Yeah,
themed, it does
yeah,
seem like they would do that.
yes, but it does have the best music,
Mhm.
the best soundtrack for that night. So dinner was at Marvel. Jackson went and played what is the game he plays? I'll think about it, but he had to go back to the kids club. So it was like getting him out at midnight every single night. I cannot for the life of me, I'll remember it before we're done. But anyways, so great day, exhausted,
Mhm.
starstruck,
Mhm.
and we were on a mission. We had a mission. We were gonna find Jordan Fisher on this ship. If
The poor guy, he's probably like, "Everybody on this particular sailing is gonna know who I am."
Yes, yes. So and we were just, and we're not gonna be living here in Nashville, like, there's people Garth Brooks lives he doesn't live there all the time, but he's got a house that's probably 20 minutes from my house. He has been seen in our local Target. Taylor Swift is also another 20 minutes the opposite way or used to be. I've seen her mom at Target too. So, we know how to respect people. We would never do anything or say anything or put them in a situation where we would embarrass ourselves and embarrass them or whatever, but it was like one of those like, "Okay, we have to figure this out."
I think Jordan Fisher has a lifetime career, if only for Disney fans. Like, he's just kind of beloved, and he
Yeah.
could kinda do a lot of different things probably. So, that's really fun.
Yeah.
The next day was a day at sea, though, Sunday, November 23rd.
No, Saturday, the 22nd.
Oh, Castaway Key Day is not a day at
Yes.
sea.
No.
Saturday, November 22nd is your Castaway Key Day, and unlike Lookout, you said you love Castaway.
We do love Castaway. So we got up that morning, we got off, we went to the second tram stop, so where, like, Cookies 2 is. Jack played on the little, like, playground area in the water, went down the slides, and we played in the water and didn't really do much of anything else. I have to say, though, So where Lookout was, and I know we only snorkeled, but we were still in the water. The water was warm at Lookout.
Mhm.
It was not warm at Castaway. So the cold water is coming down, and because Castaway is further north than Lookout is, it was cold.
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
I'm about
So
to get in that water.
yeah, it's Lookout's water was a whole lot more warm than
Mhm.
Castaway's was.
It's further south.
Yeah, it's, yeah, it was cold. But yeah, we had a good time. We had lunch on the island, just kind of didn't do much of anything. We laughed because we were over by this one little bar, and one of the bartenders that was there, his name was Chris, great guy, got to know him from the different places. And I was like, "Hey, my husband wants an old fashioned. Can you do that out here?" And he's like, "I hate to say this, but the best bourbon I have out here is Makers." He's like, "I can't even believe I'm saying that." And so he basically, gives him a cup of Makers with an orange twist and some bitters in it. And he's like, "I'm so sorry. Tell him to come see me tonight and I'll make him a better one." So we laugh about that. I think it's fun to make relationships, like to have that relationship with people. We're always willing to sit up and talk. We'll listen to your life story, we'll tell you ours. And we made some really good friends with the cast members that way. And so, yeah, so did Castaway, had a great time. Nothing really to write home about until we were walking back to the ship. We had taken the tram back, and I turn around and I'm like, "I think that's Adam J. Levy." And so I look at my husband and I was like, "Is that?" And he was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah." So I said, "I don't want to stop. Like, I don't want to take any time away from you, but I just want to tell you thank you for everything you did last night. It was fantastic. Like, it was fantastic. You really blessed us." And so he introduced us to his wife or girlfriend. I don't know if he's married or not, but the young lady that was with him, and then the lighting director was with him, and he's like, "Yeah, this is the lighting director. Didn't he do a great job?" And I was like, "The fireworks were amazing." Like, it really we've got a friend that works for the company that did all the LED lights on the Wish class ships. And so I remember thinking the night before watching the Heroes and Villains show, how cool is this? Like, John's company had a part to do with this. And so then to meet the lighting director that used the light, that's kind of set everything into motion. But super nice guy, really tall. That's when he was telling us about 10th and Main Productions. Him and Susan Egan have the company together. She lives here in Nashville. And so I said something about going to Broadway shows here. And he's like, "Oh, at TPAC?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, at TPAC." So it was fun to have that little connection. And great meeting him, super down to earth, just guy next door. And then that night, we were back at Marvel for dinner
2 nights in a row, huh?
2 nights in a row, and this was the pirate menu.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so it was pirate night, and this is the night we decided we were exhausted. We had been going from, not necessarily sunup, but, you know, 8 or 8:30 until midnight every night. We were exhausted, and so I asked Jackson, "Hey, do you wanna see fireworks tonight?" And he's like, "Not really." So, I this was the night we laid in bed and watched Cruella. So, it was fun to have, like, Disney on demand shows on our TV, so we had dinner and then went back to the stateroom, and the 3 of us laid in bed and watched Cruella, I think, this night.
Mhm. You had dinner, in the restaurant.
We did. Yeah, we ate in the restaurant this pirate night.
Okay. And you laid in bed and watched it.
Laid in bed and watched Cruella, so that was fun. Neither of us or none of us had seen that. So that was the end of Saturday.
'Tis the season for identity theft. This time of year, most of us are checking off our holiday gift lists. But guess what? Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on them. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second and alerts you to threats you could miss by yourself, even if you keep an eye on your bank and credit card statements. If your identity is stolen, your own US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. And all plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. The last thing you want to do this holiday season is face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or other financial losses from identity theft all alone. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code IHEART. Or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
Amazon 5-Star Theater presents Real Customer Reviews, performed by Eva Longoria. Tonight's review, Sports Briefs. Oh boy, where do I even start with these performance mesh boxer briefs? They keep everything in place, even during intense jumping jacks. These boxer briefs are like a magician's trick. You know the one where you go, where did that rabbit come from? So if you're looking for underwear that not only performs well, but also gives your package the attention it deserves, then look no further. 5 stars, Nicolicious. Thank you for listening to Amazon 5-Star Theater. There are endless gifts that can make the male friend in your life feel supported and heroic. Gifts that make them feel like they can conquer jumping jacks and perform impromptu magic tricks. And they're all on Amazon. Shop the perfect gift this holiday season on Amazon.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first, there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
And now we get to move to
Yeah.
Sunday, November 23rd, which was your day at sea.
Yes. So this was the day at sea. We knew that we wanted to get up and be around earlier. And so that's kind of the reason why we were like, we're not staying out till midnight tonight. We knew that we wanted to be able to get up and do things. And so there was a Broadway Q&A for 10 o'clock that morning. And so we all got up. Andrew went to go get Jack some breakfast. And had I thought about it, we would have gotten room service, but I didn't think about it. I went and got in line about an hour early for the Q&A. Oh, hold please. I need to go back to yesterday. I just realized this. I can't even believe that I skipped over this. So, Pirate Night, Jack had gone to the kids' club for a little bit before dinner. So, we're sitting in Cask and Cannon, which is the Pirates of the Caribbean bar, lounge. And it was great. If you are able to, like, if you go, their pretzel is delicious. They've got churros that are really good. Somebody said it's the best burger on the ship is here at Cask and Cannon. So, we're sitting up at the bar. There's 2 seats empty next to me. And who walks in? Jordan Fisher and his wife, Ellie. And they come and sit right next to us. And instantly I'm like, I've got to, like, Andrew looks at me and he's like, you've got to go get Jackson. So make a beeline because I don't want to, like, I want Jackson to have the opportunity to meet him. I'd like to meet him as well. But it was just one of those things like, this is going to make my kids' night come true, like dreams come true. And so we sit there. So I get back up with Jackson and I do the same thing. And it's true. Like, I didn't wanna bother him and his wife. They didn't have their little guy with them. They were looking for dinner, and I didn't wanna bother them, but I wanted him to know the impact that he's made on our family.
Mhm.
And so I look at him and I was like we ended up, like, catching each other's eye, and I was like, "I just wanna tell you thank you." Thank you for everything you've done, and you've made such an impact on our family, and you blessed us last night. Like, it was absolutely amazing. We sit there for 45 minutes.
Aw.
It was the most magical night. I had told him about our 18-year-old daughter had chosen not to sail because she decided to be an adult and, not come on the cruise and go to college classes like she should. So he said, FaceTime her and hand me your phone. So I, of course, don't buy the internet package because why would I? So I'm trying to buy the internet package as quickly as I possibly can. And so I go to FaceTime her and I keep getting an error.
Mm.
And he's like, I hand him my phone and I was like, it's giving me an error. So he's like on my phone, like trying to figure out what to do. Well, then it goes through. She is with all of her little friends. They had, I don't know, they had gone bowling. Her little group had gone bowling that night. They were sitting in McDonald's in Clarksville, Tennessee. And she picks up my FaceTime call and all of these girls start screaming.
Oh my god.
And
That is incredible.
she's crying because he's that age. She's 18. I guess he was on Liv and Maddie, like some episode of Liv and Maddie that she says she has seen probably 100 times because it's the only one she watches because he was on it.
Oh.
So, yeah, it was amazing, and he was so down to earth, and he was so nice and so generous with his time. His wife is a doll. They told us how they met. We talked college football because they were from Birmingham, and it was amazing. It was fabulous.
So would you add that to reasons why this cruise was worth it?
So, yes, I can't even believe that I skipped over that part for the notes on Saturday. I can't even believe that because that was another highlight. So, yeah, it was amazing. So, Sunday doing the Broadway Q&A, we sat back in the same seats that we sat the night of the concert. And just because we wanted to be up as close as we possibly could, and, they were great seats anyway. And it was amazing. They took a few minutes to kinda talk about their background, and they took questions from the audience. And one thing that has really stuck with me from that night was the genie, so James Monroe Iglehart. Somebody asked if he still gets butterflies when he goes on stage, and he said, "If you're in this industry and don't get butterflies, there's something wrong with you." He says, "But what I have learned to do," he said, "instead of allowing my butterflies to fly crazy, I have my butterflies and I put them into formation so that they can lead me to where I'm supposed to be." And I was like, I'm sitting there, like, tears running down my face, like, that was something. Yeah, that's such a cool way to think about it, to turn your nerves into our little guy kinda gets a little nervous and has anxiety sometimes, and I don't know how to tell him to use that anxiety for the good, and that's exactly it. You put your butterflies in formation and use them to lead you where you're supposed to be.
Some people just have a way with words.
Yeah,
Like, that's amazing.
yeah. So, the whole Q&A was great. We ended up seeing him later on, saying hi to him just really quick, and it's funny, like, I saw Susan Egan from across the way, but I never saw the other 2 girls anywhere. I don't know if they just blended in better or I just wasn't looking as hard. I don't know. Never saw the other ones. And then had lunch. So we never went sit down for lunch. We did either Marceline Market or we did the Festival of Foods. And it was great. I love the Festival of Foods. I would get like a rib and some mac and cheese, and then I would get a little bit from the Donald's Cantina. And, just kinda make it what we want. I did ask Jackson how many ice cream cones he would have on the 2 cruises combined. He first said, like, 50,000. So and then he said, "Maybe 15." So he was meeting his quota, so some ice cream cones were had. And then that night, the sea day on the Destiny is when they have Hercules, is when they show Hercules. And so Hercules is we were really excited about it because it's a new show, it's not one we've ever seen before, and, we had seen them getting prepared for it, and I will admit I've never seen the movie.
Mhm.
It wasn't as big to me necessarily as Moana, but I still wanted to see it, and so they were showing it 3 times this day, and I think that that's kinda what they're gonna do for the time being. So it was at 2 o'clock and then like 6 and like 8:30 or something like that. So we lined up about an hour before the 2 o'clock show
Mhm.
because my thought was if we don't get into 2 o'clock, then we can do the next one before
'Cause
dinner.
you're a planner.
Yes. So we saw that. It was amazing. The guy that plays Hercules is fantastic. The guy that plays Hades is amazing. Like it was such a good show. I'm so like it was fun to be able to see that they've added to the different shows that you can see on board, and I love that there's some ship-specific ones, and it was the perfect theme for this heroes and villains. Best villain, most people say that Hades is the best villain, and then, Hercules and Meg and how she evolves, and it was great. And then I'm thinking, okay, so this was our C day. We had gonna be doing back to back. So we got instructions this day on what we needed to do for the back-to-back.
Mhm.
So it comes in an envelope, and we have a little yellow boarding pass that they said, "Do not lose. We're not giving you another one, and you have to have this to get back on the ship." And then in the letter, we had to meet at 8:45 at the Walt Disney Theater. And from what we had heard that day, they usually meet in one of the lounges, but because there were so many of us doing back-to-backs, they had to go to the theater.
My
So there were
gosh.
200 of us doing back-to-backs. They did tell us the numbers. There were 3,200 on the maiden voyage, and there were 3,800 on the second sailing. So that tells you, and all the staterooms were full. So it was a lot of adults on the first sailing, and it was a lot of families with their children, which we noticed immediately on the second sailing.
Mm,
So
that's gonna change how things feel.
yes, it does. Unfortunately, it does. Dinner that night was at Pride Lands, which is a new to us restaurant, a new to us menu. The menu was great. I don't remember there being anything that was, and it's Disney Cruise Line food. You know, I say it's bland, but it's gotta feed a lot of, like, it's gotta have a lot of people, make a lot of people happy. But yeah, it was great. Still had our fantastic server. We love Erica a ton. The show in Pride Lands is different than the shows that you get on the Wish and on the Treasure, in that it's not really a show. It's just me. It's music. There are one of the songs, and I've not seen Lion King on Broadway, but one of the songs comes from the Broadway show.
Mhm.
It was great, but I realized, like, it was loud. And where we were sitting further back. Like, we didn't have a great view of the stage, but you didn't need a great view of the stage. You could see it from you could hear it from anywhere. It was just loud. And it just, yeah, I don't know how else to describe it. It was loud. It was gorgeous. The performers, the percussionist plays 23 different instruments. It was amazing. But I found myself the second sailing, like, I don't know that I wanna go to dinner here. It's loud.
Mm.
But yeah, it was still great. And then, let me see, I've also got notes for Sunday. We watched they had shows on the stage in the grand hall. And there were different, like, they did, like, the story of Loki. And then there was, like, Maleficent came out. They did a Cruella de Vil fashion show. There were different things that went on. And so, being the lover of Black Panther that I am, they had on Sunday, they did I don't remember, I should have written down what exactly it was called, but it was something like a tribute to King T'Challa. And stupid Loki has to ruin it.
Mm.
And I get that he's like this big, I according to my husband, I have not watched the show, but according to my husband, like, Loki's gonna turn around and be a good guy. But you get down there and you're like, it's all Black Panther and it's the music and it's just, you feel so great. And then Loki comes out and he's like, "This ceremony is about me." And so they pick people to come up on stage and, like, draw a picture, because you draw a picture of the king. And then they, like, separate the crowd, like, half of the people have to sing a song to him, half of the people have to, like, write a poem for him. And, like, Jackson got brought up on stage to draw a picture of Loki, and it just, like, I was so looking forward to this ceremony about Black Panther and King T'Challa, and it was Loki.
Mm.
And so Black Panther does end up coming out at the end and kinda takes it back over, but it's like, you know, just kind of, I don't know, kinda put a little, it was silly. We did go up to the silent DJ party. That was
The family one or adults one?
the family one. So it's up in the Hero Zone. There was nobody up there. It's not in a great place. Yeah. And then before dinner that night, so before we had eaten at Pride Lands, we were just kind of walking around. So we left the silent DJ party and walked out in front of Cask and Cannon and saw that there was, like, a table. And so we kind of walk in, and Jordan Fisher and his wife Ellie are sitting down eating at the table next to the empty table. So they're like, "Come in." And so we sit down and talk to them for a little bit, watch the Cowboys beat the Eagles. So it was a good day. And so we just kinda ended, and then we did Pride Lands. One thing to note on this. So this was our last sea day of the cruise,
Mhm.
which anybody sailing Disney Cruise Line, the last day of or the last sea day of the cruise, there are the famous Mickey churro waffles,
Mhm.
and there were no Mickey churro waffles. So, yeah,
Which I had heard during the preview cruises, but I thought, well, maybe they'll have. They did.
they did not.
You talked to them about it, right?
I
And they said
did.
they're
So I
not. They're just not gonna have
on
them.
the second cruise, I did ask a chef about it because I had seen the kind of I say the uproar, but yeah, in the DCL community,
Mhm.
there was an uproar. And so I did ask a chef in Marceline Market during the second cruise, "Do you plan on having them this cruise?" And he's like, "Ma'am," he said, "they're on the Wish and the Treasure right now, but they're not gonna be there long, and they're never coming here."
Mm.
So we did hear that concierge got them, and there was a larger one that you could purchase in the ice cream shop.
When things get too popular, they put it up for sale or only to the premium level guests.
Yeah, and I don't
It's
like
just it's just a churro
it's
waffle.
just churro waffles. Like, let's just have some churro waffles for our fans. Like,
Everyone's paid a decent amount of money to be there.
yes.
Surely they can give us a churro waffle.
I know, I know. And I did find there was and I don't know how much of that is really true. I did find a lot of misinformation
Mhm.
about this or about different things on the ship. This is the new training ship. So this ship, I'm afraid, is always going to have issues when it comes to consistency. You know, there are people on this ship that this is their very first contract with a cruise line ever. And not that people don't deserve a place to start, but when you especially like for this maiden voyage, you have passengers who are Pearl. There were hundreds of Pearl passengers that had that second boarding group too. But these people have sailed a few times with Disney and they know what to expect, and that was not necessarily there.
Mhm.
You had your ones that have been there for a long time that came on to, we saw some familiar faces. But yeah, there were a lot of new people too. So, did I get the correct information? I don't know, because I was given information on the next cruise about another favorite that I have since found out was wrong.
Mhm.
So it's just it's the growing pains, it comes with it, and we did not walk into this cruise thinking that this would be top-notch, 100%, every expectation met. We never walk into any vacation like that, but especially this one with the Maiden.
Mhm.
So, we were just grateful that the show was, because on the Wish, they didn't those maiden voyage people, even though it had gotten pushed back, it still wasn't ready. And so we were grateful that the ship was ready and that the show was great and everything was ready for that. And so, yeah, silly things like the mug. In fact, I have all of my little stack here. So the beer mug, the $18 beer mug, they have a Disney exclusive or Disney Destiny exclusive that has the Destiny logo on it. They did not have enough on the first sailing on the maiden voyage. There were people standing waiting for these mugs to be turned in, and they were grabbing the dirty ones.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like silly things like that. Like they're just the supply wasn't necessarily there for some of it. There were a couple of Destiny exclusive beers that were never available on either one of those sailings just because they hadn't come in yet. So there were some things that were missing, but overall, it was still worth it.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. Where are we at on on the day at sea still?
no, we're on Monday.
Okay, on Monday,
So we
which
had
is your disembarkation.
yes, so we had Sunday night, we had dinner at Pride Lands, and then
And then you had to go in the Walt Disney Theater with 200 other guests that were
yes,
back to
on
back
Monday morning. Yes, ma'am.
morning. And so what do you have to do other than meeting in that theater and getting your yellow paper?
So we have our yellow card. You have
Mhm.
to have with you your key to the world card, your passport, and that yellow boarding pass. So
Mhm.
those are the 3 things that each and it's 1 boarding pass per stateroom. Because we were lucky enough to stay in our same stateroom, we didn't have to do anything. Like, we didn't have to pack or any of that. If we would have had to change staterooms, if we would have had our luggage ready, they would have moved our luggage for us.
Mhm.
But you still would have to pack up your current stateroom and then unpack in your new stateroom.
But you don't have to take it off the ship.
You do not, yeah, and you don't have to move it between the 2 staterooms. The one thing that was nice too is we were told as soon as we were back on the ship that we could have access to our staterooms. So that was really nice. But yeah, so we all met at 8:45, and again, there were about 200 of us. We could not leave the ship until everybody else had left the ship, and there were a lot of people that weren't leaving the ship because they didn't want to, I guess. So everybody's supposed to be off. I think what they tell you is 9, but it's really 9:30. It was after 10 o'clock before the last person was finally off the ship.
But the people know that they have to turn these ships over so fast.
Like, it's just yeah, and it delays so
It
much,
does.
and so we got off the ship a little after 10. Then we went through customs. So you go down, like, through the area where the luggage is, you go through customs, and then you line back up, and then they take you back into the waiting room, the initial room that you're in when you go to board the ship. So they had an area for us to sit in. Of course, we didn't fit because there were 200 of us.
Mhm.
As having has been a person that has never done a back to back, I don't know exactly how these are supposed to go, but from what we understand from the other back to backers that were furious, is nobody else is supposed to be let into the facility until the back to back people are back on the ship.
Mhm.
That did not happen.
I wonder there's a lot of weird logistical things going
Yeah, and
different
I
on
don't
this
know,
cruise.
like, to me, it's not that big of a deal, but I guess it's that, like, perk of feeling like,
Mhm.
you're in an empty area or whatever, and when there's maybe 20 people, maybe that's doable, but when there's 200 of us, maybe it's not, I don't know. But they did allow concierge to start coming in, and then they started letting other boarding groups to come in, so we were allowed to be back we got back on the ship at 11:10 AM. So you've got boarding groups that or port arrival times that start at, like, what, 10:30, 10:45? So, yeah, so people were in there. It didn't necessarily matter to me, I didn't really care, but other people did.
Sometimes Disney is their own worst enemy because if they do things really well, then you start to expect it, and then when they don't, it's like, oh well,"
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and when you do things so many like, over and over and over again,
Mhm.
people, just sometimes I felt like it gave people something to complain about, but then other times it was like, okay, like we don't have enough buses because we didn't know how many people were gonna be in the transportation. Well, whose fault is that?
Yeah,
Like,
you
who dropped the
they
ball?
they had the reservations.
Yeah, you had to pay for this. This wasn't just a walk up and you can, walk up and you can, just join. One thing to note, when you go off the ship, they take your key to the world card, and I am a person that I like to have my key to the world card. So they tell you to go the last night or that last day before that second cruise is over, and you can pick up your key to the world card. I don't know why they do this. I don't necessarily care. I just went and picked mine up the night before we disembarked, and so I have now both sets of key to the world cards. I just like to have them because they're a memory for me.
Mhm, a souvenir?
They're a souvenir. So, we got on the ship, nothing was open, food wasn't open until noon, I believe, but we had eaten like that wasn't a big deal. I started laundry. I went to the stateroom and grabbed some clothes and
No competition?
none. It was us and I had 2 loads, and then there was another group of people from Canada, which I absolutely loved meeting these people, they were amazing. But yeah, they had, I think, 3 or 4 washers, and we just did laundry, and then it tells you when to go pick it up.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was great. So we did laundry, no issue. We went and sat so I did have a Palo dinner scheduled for this trip, and I really wanted a Palo brunch. And in speaking with Erica, our waitress or yeah, waitress, she has been working she's on a wait list to become a Palo server, but she has been working brunches. So I was like, "Can you get us in? Like, what can you do?" And she said, "It's been so crazy. I don't have any idea. Let me see." Because this was my first cruise that I was platinum. So I had that free $55 a person credit at Palo, and I wanted to be able to use it.
Is that only dinner?
No, it can be used at brunch.
Okay.
So we did have our
I will be platinum after this cruise.
yay. We did have our Palo dinner booked. So we went and I spoke with somebody in Palo the cruise before, And so I just wanted to verify that we were on the waiting list, see kinda where we were in line to see what they thought. They basically said there's little to no chance that you'll get brunch, and we didn't. And it was fine. And then, okay, so talking about castaway gifts before, how they had just given us the one and the lanyards, we did end up getting the silver bag or the bag for silver, but we go into the stateroom for this cruise, and because it's a second cruise, it's a separate cruise, you get castaway gifts again.
Mhm.
And I was platinum, so I was also gonna be getting the packing cubes. There's no castaway gifts. I
Hmm.
asked our room steward. He's like, You got them last time, you don't get them this time." And I was like, "No, that's not how this works." And I didn't say it like that, but I thought, like, this is not what it's supposed. So we again and this was a common thing. We weren't the only ones having issues with castaway gifts. Again, the hotel director was the one that was handling this. Sometimes it's run by beverages, but it was the hotel director of these 2 cruises, and so I'm not exactly sure, again, where the disconnect was, but we didn't get any. So, like, we didn't have I wanted my platinum lanyard. Silly. First world problems, I know, but we didn't end up getting them until our last sea day, and Andrew, we ended up having to go to guest services a couple of times. So,
It just seems so basic.
yeah. Yeah, it
Like,
can't be that hard.
you paid for 2 cruises.
Yeah, I want 2 sets of gifts, please.
Mhm,
Thank you.
mhm.
But yeah, so let's see, we did laundry, we got in line for Apollo brunch to see if we could just make sure we were still on the waiting list, and then we had lunch, and then we went and took the most glorious 2-hour nap ever. It was delightful. And I'm thinking all these people are getting on this ship and are so excited and could not imagine sleeping. And here we were, like, curled up in bed. So that was kinda nice.
When you got on the ship the first time, your room was ready just because it was the first sailing and they didn't have any passengers the day before.
Yeah,
These new people, I assume, had to wait the typical
they
time.
did. And
And
they
so
did
you
say
were unique in having a place to take a nap.
yes, and they did say that they didn't want us, especially closer to 1:30, like in that 1 o'clock range, they didn't want people going to their staterooms or going under the
Right.
because, they have 'em blocked off. They didn't want you going under, but if you were in the staterooms, you could stay there. You could come and go, just don't make it excessive, because
Mhm.
they didn't want people upset, and I can understand that.
And you said, "Let me just go to sleep."
Yeah, I'm just gonna take a nap.
Mhm.
So we did that, and then we went to so one thing I really like about this versus the other 2 cruise ships, unless they've changed these, there's a two-story lounge, it's called Saga, here on the Destiny, and it's where they hold a lot of their adult-only shows. The issues I've had with the Wish and the Treasure is that they're open to the outside.
Mhm.
They're not for this one. They have in the Treasure, I can remember specifically, there were, like, portholes where you could still see and, like, you could stand out there and listen to everything that was going on. It's got glass up in those portholes, and then when it's an adult-only show, there's curtains that they close. And I thought that was kinda cool. Like, I love the Dream and Fantasy class because you have an adult area.
That's what I like too. I wanna know that I can have a few drinks and use some adult language without children.
Yeah, and that was one thing too, like, this cruise had children.
Mhm.
So many kids. And I have a kid, I have 4 kids. I understand that. I'm on a Disney cruise, I can't complain about kids. But these kids were out of control. It was insane to the point where you would get into an elevator and all the floor lights had been pushed. And this wasn't just a every once in a while. This was every single time you got in, there were already, things that had been rooms that or floors that had been pushed. There were reports of kids swinging off the light fixtures up on deck 13 up in concierge that broke light fixtures at like 2 o'clock in the morning. It was crazy. These kids were outrageous. So to be able to go into Saga and have those doors shut and be like, it's quiet.
Mhm.
It was nice. So we did they have an adult only Marvel comedy show. I did not see one. There's one on the Treasure that is Indiana Jones, and my husband absolutely adored it. I didn't see it. He said this one was lame compared to the Indiana Jones. So you're in for a fun night.
Okay. Good to know. I
Um,
know these big ships have so many different options, so we'll have to
yeah.
look for that one.
Yeah, I don't know why this was an adult-only show. I think it's because Deadpool's in there and they bleep him out saying the F word,
Mhm,
but he doesn't say it, like, it's still bleeped out in the show. So I'm not sure, like, the comedy was probably more teenager-ish,
mhm,
but it was fine. It was a nice little show. And then we are back to Marvel for dinner,
mhm.
which is my least favorite. Yeah. So, and on this day, Jackson had a friend that we had met on the Treasure back in March. Her and her family had all joined. And so we kind of met up with them off and on. Gaga Ball. That's the game that Jackson loves playing. And so anytime there was Gaga Ball on the schedule, he would make sure he was there. So the first night of the embarkation day, they play Gaga Ball at 11:15 p.m. and it's 45 minutes.
Mm.
So yeah,
He's a
celebrate night.
he's a night owl.
Yes, which is great for him, but I'm ready for bed at 8 o'clock.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's what we did that night, kinda hung out with Cordy's family. Cordy and Jack were in the kids club forever. Dinner was at Marvel, sitting at the different lounges. I don't think we had done trivia at this point yet. But yeah, that was Monday.
'Tis the season for identity theft. This time of year, most of us are checking off our holiday gift lists. But guess what? Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on them. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second and alerts you to threats you could miss by yourself, even if you keep an eye on your bank and credit card statements. If your identity is stolen, your own US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. And all plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. The last thing you want to do this holiday season is face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or other financial losses from identity theft all alone. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code IHEART. Or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
Amazon 5-Star Theater presents Real Customer Reviews, performed by Eva Longoria. Tonight's review, Sports Briefs. Oh boy, where do I even start with these performance mesh boxer briefs? They keep everything in place, even during intense jumping jacks. These boxer briefs are like a magician's trick. You know the one where you go, where did that rabbit come from? So if you're looking for underwear that not only performs well, but also gives your package the attention it deserves, then look no further. 5 stars, Nicolicious. Thank you for listening to Amazon 5-Star Theater. There are endless gifts that can make the male friend in your life feel supported and heroic. Gifts that make them feel like they can conquer jumping jacks and perform impromptu magic tricks. And they're all on Amazon. Shop the perfect gift this holiday season on Amazon.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first, there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
That was Monday, and now we're gonna have some deja vu going through the itinerary again. So Tuesday, November 25th was Lookout Day. Did you stay on the ship?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we did. We weren't going to. And we were eating breakfast. And I looked at my husband and I was like, I need you to know I have no desire to get off this ship. And he was like, no desire at all. And I was like, nope. I said, so if you want to go,
Mhm,
you can, like, please don't let me stop you, but I don't want to go.
mhm.
And so I think he was thinking about it for a little while. And then he's like, we're just all going to stay on the ship. But we ended up having so much fun that day. We just jumped from pool to pool. We did the yellow water slide. We did the aqua mouse that was fun. So they have taken away part of the adult area in the forward. They had the controversy of taking away this one area. They've added a Chippendale pool. to what used to be, I guess, an adult area, and I don't remember how the fantasy and the dream were laid out, but this pool looked so amazing. No, it was never open. There was never a lifeguard up there that we saw. It was a great little area, and it was up by, like, where the slide is, but it was never open. So we just kind of hung out around the ship, had lunch on the ship. Dinner that night was at Pride Lands. Again, so back to Pride Lands, nothing really to write home
Just
about.
loud.
Loud, yeah. Yeah, and by this time, our assistant server, the poor gentleman, this was his very first contract on any ship. He would bring our drinks, and then he would disappear. We'd never see him the rest of the night, and our poor server, I love Erica. This girl was running rapid. And she knew that her tables weren't being taken care of like they needed to be. And so it was actually in Pride Lands. We the head server was great. His name was Aksha, I think is how you pronounce his name. He was great. And I pulled him to the side and I was like, "Hey, please don't let this reflect bad on anybody." Like, cause you can't complain about anything on a Disney cruise ship because then it's the wrong person gets in trouble, right? And I was like, "I don't want this is no reflection of Erica, but can he, like, help her?" Like, I would love to have more than one, glass of Diet Coke a night. Our water was gone, and even the assistant servers from the tables around her were stepping in to help clear tables
Mhm.
and so we weren't at dinner, we were at Apollo the following night, but that last night, he was there and he was on top of it, and it was great, and, it was never an issue again, and so, I never want anybody to get in trouble, but also, like, step up your service a little bit. This is not it's not
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that was our lookout day.
So Wednesday, November 26th, Castaway Day.
Castaway Day. So Castaway Day, we love the island, we go back out to the island. This time we just went to the first stop, and again, the water was cold, you know, it was a fun day. We had lunch there on the island, did a little bit of shopping, and then I do have to going back to the lookout day, we laid in bed this day and watched Zootopia that night before like, after dinner because we
Zoo
knew
Zootopia 1?
Zootopia 1,
Yes. Okay, 2 wasn't out yet.
because we knew on Wednesday it was a premiere at sea for Zootopia 2.
Okay.
And I have seen Zootopia, my husband had not, and our little guy has seen it a million times, loves it. So we had dinner, then did our, like, laid in bed and watched Zootopia, so that was great. So then the next day, Castaway, we get back on the ship, we get cleaned up from all of that, and Zootopia 2 is premiering at 5:30 that night, so, of
Mhm.
course, we're there. And it was the cutest movie. The boys did catch me, I closed my eyes for a little bit, but
Mhm.
whatever. But yeah, it was a cute movie, it was fun to be able to premiere it at sea. My little guy's standing right here, go that way. This sipper.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, this was yeah, thank goodness, like, his little head comes off, it's easier to pack that way. But yeah, we're a sucker for silly little things like this. So, yep, so we have Gary, brought Gary home with us. So, for those that didn't see, he's a sipper with a long neck, and
Mhm.
he's adorable. The movie's super cute, and it was fun to watch it for free.
Yes, you got to do the premiere, and that'll just be on the ship and in the movie theater.
Yes. Yeah, so we got to see it in the Walt Disney Theater, and then the following day, it moved to the 2 other theaters,
Mhm.
smaller ones.
And I have only, on Disney cruises, seen the premiere movies, like Mary Poppins and the live action Little Mermaid. I've never seen a movie in the regular theater on a Disney cruise.
Oh, really? So
This
we saw
this is the
so
time.
yeah, so the
Zootopia 2.
live action of Moana debuted while we premiered while we were on The Treasure,
Mhm.
but we didn't see it that night. We saw it the next day in one of the smaller theaters. Oh, it was Lilo and Stitch, not Moana. Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, for some reason, and I've even been in rooms that were near the theater. Like, I don't understand why this is in 9 cruises not happened, but this is the chance.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm glad that you liked it.
But yeah, so it was great. It was fun to watch. And then that night we were scheduled for 1923, but we had Palo reservations that evening. So we got to go to Palo.
Mhm,
We love Palo and know
mhm,
what to expect.
mhm.
And yeah, Palo was our waitress was a first contract. She came from Tuto, so in Epcot, Tuto
Italia?
Italia, yeah. So she was a waitress there, a server there, and this was her first contract, with Disney Cruise Line, any cruise line. She's a Palo server. She was great. She no complaints about her whatsoever. Where they sat us, though, is and I don't we didn't get sat so we did Palo brunch on the Treasure, but we didn't get sat this far back. We were kind of, like, in this little nook towards the back of the very, very back of the ship. It's where they went in and out to the kitchen, and they have automatic doors that stay open for a period of time. So we sat there eating our somewhat free meal. We still paid for a portion of our meal because I ate the prefix meal, Andrew did not. So we still paid a pretty penny for this meal. And listened to kitchen noise the entire night.
Mm.
Dishes clanking.
They shouldn't have a table that close.
And we weren't even the closest table.
Mm.
Like, it just sometimes the design is just not it's like the person designing this needs to sit there too.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was really bad to the point where they came over and, like, apologized, and they were like, "We know we're trying to fix this issue." So before you would have to wave your hand. So on the Treasure and the Wish, you would have to, like, go up very close to it and wave your hand for the door to open, and then it would close immediately behind you. But the servers had an issue with that because sometimes you don't have a hand to wave, so you
Mhm.
can't get the door to open. So on the Destiny, they made this an automatic door, and it's not great either. So it was
I can't get it right.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it was still a great meal. We had our chocolate soufflés. I did ask because my very favorite thing on any of the Disney Cruise Line ships is the grape and gorgonzola pizza that is missing from the Palo brunch menu, but I know it's something that you can still get. So I asked our waitress, I said, "I see that you guys can do the flatbreads for dinner, and I see that there's grapes in some things and there's gorgonzola in others. Can you possibly see if they could make a grape and gorgonzola pizza?" And she said, "There's an ingredient that's missing from that for that pizza that we don't have here anymore, and we will not have that pizza on this cruise ship." And it's so silly, like, I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Like, I love that pizza, so much so that we have come home from we were on a cruise with friends and introduced them to it, that we go over to their house during the summer and swim every Sunday. We make grape and gorgonzola pizzas at their house.
Mhm.
Like, it's something that we really, really, really enjoy. And so, however, I posted in a Facebook page, and I was like, "Yeah," because somebody was talking about the churro waffles, and I was like, "Yeah, and I don't think the grape and gorgonzola pizza is there either." Well, a gentleman replied today and was like, "Hey, I got it at brunch today." So, it was either something she didn't realize or maybe they've gotten that ingredient. So, yeah. So, we had Palo that night. Again, just, I think we did trivia this night, just kinda did a little bit of everything.
And the next day was your day at sea, right?
Yes, and it was Thanksgiving.
Okay, yes.
So, for the first cruise and for all the other cruises, you're gonna go to dining room 1, then 2, 2, and then 3. For this one, we did 1, 2, 3, 1. So, we were back in Marvel this night for Thanksgiving. This day, trying to think, I know we did a couple of trivias this day. We packed up because tomorrow was
Mhm.
we were leaving, and we had been in this room for 7 nights prior, so we took some time to pack up. I remember, the boys played shuffleboard. I sat on a chair and read, just kind of were I say lazy, but just kinda relaxed.
Mhm.
And then had Thanksgiving dinner at Marvel, and they had a traditional, so it was a completely different menu than from anything else. It was more Thanksgiving-ish items. I had the traditional Thanksgiving dinner with turkey and sweet potatoes and, all of that, so it was delicious. No, absolutely no complaints. It was really nice to be on a Disney Cruise Line ship and eat a meal that I've never had before,
And that you didn't have to cook.
and that I didn't have to cook, yes. Yeah, did miss family and friends for Thanksgiving, did miss, having, like my mom's turkey, but it was still fun. And then we sat oh, and Hercules was again this day, but we had seen it the first cruise, and so we decided to not go back. Not that we didn't love it, I just sometimes I just can't. And so this was one of those, but yeah, so we set all of our stuff out. We knew that we'd have an early morning the next morning. And so we turned Jackson's wristband into the kids club, said goodbye to everybody, and went to bed shortly after dinner.
Did they have fireworks still?
Yes, they did. It was the night that so Pirate Night was still on Castaway Day, but they didn't do a pirate menu
Okay.
because the Thanksgiving menu.
Okay. So they Pirate Night fireworks, just not the food.
Yes, yeah. So all the same shows, everybody was dressed up as pirates, but and we were in Palo that night. So,
Right.
but yeah.
Okay. So your Thanksgiving night is you're getting packed up because you have to head out the next day. So Friday, November 28th, you're getting off for good.
Yeah, we were. And you're always sad to leave. But I was ready for more room than the, 250 square feet of the stateroom that we're in for a week. But yeah, so we got up that next morning. We had transportation. So our flight wasn't until 4 o'clock that afternoon.
Right.
And I had originally booked us on Disney transportation to go back to the airport. And then I just figured we'd sit around the airport. My husband and my son were like, there's no way we're going to sit here for 6 hours. And so I rented a car. Well, I went to call to cancel our transportation from the port to the airport. And they were like, oh, no, you're within 7 days of your cruise starting. You can't cancel this transportation. Like, you can cancel it, but you're not going to get a refund. And so we decided to go ahead and take the Disney transportation from the port to the airport. Then we picked up our rental car at the airport. And then then we picked up a rental car and just kind of we had to buy a piece of luggage because we came home with so much stuff. So yeah, had to buy a piece of luggage. So we had stopped into Kohl's. This was Black Friday. So I'm thinking we'll get some great deal. It was odd because like our Black Friday is up here in Nashville. There's traffic everywhere and lines out the doors. And there wasn't anything like that we saw. We ate at a little pizza place for lunch, not our normal pizza place, but we ate at a little pizza place for lunch and then went back to the airport, turned the car in, and got on our flight and came home.
And that was that.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, you said something about you don't know if you'll go on the Destiny again.
Yes.
What? Tell me about that.
So we have learned that we like to do things at ports. And not that you can't do anything at Castaway or Lookout, but you don't have a variety of things you can do. I like the Destiny, but the itineraries, I know that there are some. I think there's a couple of 5 nights thrown in. I know they're doing a 7 night every once in a while. So I'd be willing to go back for those, but if it's just the normal 4 night that goes to both Lookout and Castaway, I don't really have a desire to do that again.
So then does that mean you prefer like the Treasure because it does go out for longer?
I do, and we even loved the we did a 3 night on the Wish and loved the Wish. Overall, for the 3 Wish class ships, so the Treasure, the hallways felt really tight to me. The Wish didn't feel as tight, and the Destiny didn't feel as tight, but I think it's the color scheme because it's a whole lot more like it's darker colors on the Treasure, which I loved. It just felt condensed. Yeah, I probably would if I had to choose between going on one of the 3, it would be the Treasure, and I think it's mostly because I mean, they're the same exact ships, right? But it's because well, number 1, I love Coco, but it's also the longer itineraries. I like to be able to if I'm gonna go somewhere, I wanna go for more than 3 or 4 nights. I did like doing the back-to-back. I want to do another back-to-back. In fact, I know we were talking Alaska earlier and looking at before we recorded, yeah. And a back-to-back in Alaska would be less than a concierge for one sailing in Alaska. I'd love to so I would love to do another back-to-back, but I think we wanna stick I think we're ready to get outside of the Caribbean.
And you did a lot of Caribbean this time.
We have, yeah. And we've done a lot of Caribbean this year even because this was cruise number 5 for us for this year, 4 and 5, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, we're doing I think you know this, but we're doing a patron cruise in April,
Yeah,
and one of the reasons I chose the itinerary out of San Diego was I also feel like I've done a lot of Caribbean. But the Treasure's new, like, the Eastern Caribbean itinerary there is different,
yeah,
but I've done the itinerary that you just did, I've done in different forms as well a couple times.
yeah,
So, yeah, it is fun to get to try new things. So, Alaska is on your radar for someday.
yeah, 2027, hopefully.
Yeah, and that will not be a big ship.
No, and I'm excited. So I've been on the Wonder and the Magic. My husband and son have not. So I'm excited for them to see. I think once my husband steps on, that he's gonna love it so much more than the bigger ships. And these aren't even, the biggest ships that are out there. The Wish class is not the biggest ship.
Oh, but they are so big.
They're so
The Wonder
big.
and Magic are so easy, and if you have a whole week on them, you really do get to know your way around, and
Yeah.
it feels like home in a way. Would it be accurate to say that you didn't love the dining rooms on the ship?
It would be very accurate to say that I don't love the dining rooms on the ship. I know, and I think that there's 2 more Wish class ships coming. Like, I wish that and I know that they do the one that's different on each of the ships, but, like, what if you did 2 that were different? Or what if you had different menus? Still do 1923, but do a different menu on this cruise or on this particular ship. Our family loves Marvel. I'm over Marvel, though. That was the dining room. It just happened to be the rotation that we got that we were in the most because the first cruise, we were there for 2 nights.
Mhm,
Then the last cruise, we were actually there 3 times because we had breakfast that last morning.
mhm,
And it's yeah, I don't know, I love it, right? I just wish there was more of a variety.
mhm. And then what about the entertainment? You didn't go to Disney Seas because you've done it before, but
We did do Disney Seas the second sailing.
okay.
We went with the family that Jackson's friend. But so we did do that, but, like, I think Frozen is on there too, and we didn't go to Frozen.
Mhm,
I'm kinda over the Frozen stuff, and so didn't go to Frozen, but yeah, I do love the entertainment. I love Sage and Coriander. I don't remember the girl's name on the Destiny, but Doc Gamble is the gentleman's name. Sage and Coriander were very personable, and gosh, I can't remember her name. Anyway, the 2 that are on the Destiny just weren't as personable, and I don't know if that's the characters that they're playing or if it's just the people that they are. And again, is it the longer cruise? Because we found ourselves, like, Sage both Sage and Coriander could, like, pick my son out of they'd be walking by and be like, "Hey, Jackson." You
mhm.
know?
Which is amazing because, there's new guests,
Yeah,
thousands usually new guests every, few days or every week.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So,
All
but it was a good
right.
trip.
Good trip, but you might not go on in the ship again.
No, I think I wanna cruise from Galveston. I wanna do Alaska. Now that I'm platinum, I'm like, "Come on, we gotta book so we can get our free Palo."
You have to, and
Yeah,
your gifts, your packing cubes.
right? Our little guy was looking at the wall at Castaway Key, and he was like, "Why are these people's names up there?" And I'm like, "'Cause they've sailed with Disney 50 times or more." And he's like, "Can we do that?"
Yeah.
And my husband was like, "No." And I'm like, "Yes, yes, we can."
Listen, I'm never gonna be a blood platinum. Like, the jump is so big after
It's
that.
so big.
Yeah,
It's so
no, no,
big.
no. And I just like, age-wise, I'm like, I don't have enough time to
Yeah,
get
but,
there.
like, he's 8,
Yeah,
and
he is. He has time.
yeah, he's got 8 cruises under his belt, so,
Yeah,
you know,
he could be a Pearl by the time he's 30.
yeah. Oh my gosh.
So, last question. You mentioned talking about pricing in the post
Mhm.
trip. Do you have that information?
I do. So, the first cruise, and this includes transportation, was $5,839.
Mhm,
And then our second cruise was $5,524. So, right at about a little over 11,000 for both for 8 nights.
mhm.
Again, our, like, Uber, we spent about $100 in Uber. It was, like, $50 for the rental car for the day. And then our hotel rooms, we paid on points. So
Mhm.
the 2 nights in the hotel beforehand, we paid on points. And then our flights, we were on points as well.
Okay. Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
still cheaper than Walt Disney World, probably. We're close to it.
Yeah. Depends where you stay and what you do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing, Elizabeth, and what a fun adventure. And tell Jordan hi since he's your new BFF.
Will do.
I hope you enjoyed that trip report. As this episode is live, I'm actually on a cruise ship. So hopefully you're, able to hear that in the next episode where I recap my time on the treasure. But Elizabeth and I did continue talking on Patreon, so that is up now in both video and audio form if you would like to go and listen or watch that. That will wrap up this episode of WW Prep to Go. For more information, please check the show notes in your podcast app or head to the website www.prepschool.com. Click on podcast at the top, scroll down to episode 491. Until next time, I'll see you on the site.